Chapter 10:21. I found out when I visited the crew the next day. Jiang Mai yawned, scratched his head, and answered honestly. However, as soon as Jiang Mai finished his words, Ningxi's face changed. Ningxi narrowed her eyes and glanced at Jiang Mai. Then she moved her fingers and walked to Jiang Mai step by step. Golden Retriever, come here. I won't come here. Jiang Mai, who had just woke up instantly when he saw Ningxi's dangerous expression. He regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. Oh no, I said the wrong thing. Why didn't you tell me? Ningxi roared with her hands on her hips. Then she pounced on Jiang Mai and began to beat him. I was forced to do it. My uncle threatened me. Why didn't you blame my uncle for beating me? Ouch! Don't hit my face. Lu Jingli was comforted to see Jiang Mai, who was also beaten. Finally, he had someone to keep him company. After a while, the four of them sat together at the table. In addition to the four of them, of course, Little Bun was also there. Looking at Xiao Bao, who was not surprised to see Kung Mingyu and Mama holding hands, Lu Jingli was even sadder. Sure enough, Xiao Bao also knew. He was the last one to know. However, Lu Jingli soon regained his spirit because Ningxi had made them another hot pot. Although he had broken a pot and was beaten up, he had made a lot of money in exchange for a hot pot made by little Cece herself. Ningxi adjusted the base and then went to her room to get some bottles and cans. Then, Ningxi sat next to Lu Tingxiao and began to apply it on his face one by one. Lu Tingxiao cooperated as usual. Jiang Mai buried his head in his food and said, out of sight, out of mind. Lu Jingli was speechless and pursed his lips. Little Cece, what are you doing? Why are you applying something for a woman on my brother? Ningxi rolled her eyes at him. What do you mean by that? A man's face is also very important, okay? Besides, this is a set of men's skincare products that I specially bought for your brother. He must feel uncomfortable covering his face for too long, so I'll give him a massage. It feels so good. When Little Bun, who was at the side, heard this, he immediately raised his head and used his finger to poke his little face, looking at Mama with anticipation. Ningxi immediately smiled and reached out to touch the Little Bun's soft little face. Baby's little face feels even better, Lu Jingli. I think I'm full. Jiang Mai said that ever since he learned that Lu Tingxiao had disguised himself to accompany Ningxi to film with her, he had become numb to everything. He didn't even have the slightest bit of temper when he lost. The enemy was just too cruel. After wiping Lu Tingxiao's face, Ningxi asked Jiang Mai suspiciously while feeding Little Bun, Golden hair, how did you find out that Mingyu is Lu Tingxiao? He actually discovered it earlier than me and Xiao Bao. This is simply illogical. Jiang Mai was about to speak when a cold gaze suddenly locked on him from the opposite side. He didn't dare to say that it was because he and Zhuang Ke were lovey-dovey that Lu Tingxiao lost control of himself due to jealousy and was discovered by him. I just found it by chance. Why do you ask so many questions? You've already beaten me up. Jiang Mai said perfunctorily and then began to eat crazily. Damn it, it's not easy to get food. It's torturous both mentally and physically. Chapter 10:22. The next day, Ningxi woke up early in the morning and changed into a set of light clothes. Today, she had an appointment with Xianxia to go to the Peach Blossom Village to visit the master of Chinese painting, Song Jin. Because the Peach Blossom Village was a bit far away, about 3 to 4 hours by car, and the roads in the village were not good, the car could not drive in, so Ningxi decided not to drive herself. Instead, she bought a ticket and went on a long-distance bus. When she was at the studio, Ningxi had already studied Song Jin's strategy with Xianxia. It included all of Elder Song's life information and works, especially his personality and hobbies. Unfortunately, the results of the research were not very optimistic. As the bus gradually left the city, Ningxi leaned against the back of a chair and looked at the dense information in the notebook with a headache. It is indeed a bit difficult. At Elder Song's level, he has basically jumped out of the 3 realms and no longer belongs to the 5 elements. It's really hard to please him. Xianxia, who was also browsing through Song Jin's works on his iPad, muttered, Elder Song is living alone now. He's all alone, so there's no chance of getting anything from the people around him. Worst of all, Elder Song especially hates it when people disturb his peace. It's almost impossible to use money or other worldly things to curry favor with him. Tisk, everyone has a weakness. It's impossible that he doesn't have any flaws. It's useless to just talk on paper. Let's see him in person first. Okay. On the bus, Ning, she slept with her head tilted. When she woke up, it was almost time to go. Because Ning Shi and Gong Xianxia got off at the last stop, there were only the two of them left on the bus. It seemed that this place was really deserted. But it was no wonder, otherwise the scenery would not be so primitive. Wow, the scenery here is so beautiful. Looking at the green peach forest outside the window, Ning Shi suddenly became energetic and couldn't help but exclaim. Gong Xianxia nodded. Even the air is so fresh. Oh my, this is pure air without any smog. I want to take a few more breaths. Ning Shi squinted her eyes and took a few deep breaths. When we enter the village, the scenery will be even better, Gong Xianxia said with some yearning. Tisk, Elder Song really knows how to enjoy life. A place like this should be very inspirational, right? As the two talked, they arrived at the last stop. Ning Shi quickly grabbed her backpack and got off the bus with Gong Xianxia. How do we go after that? Ning Shi looked at the endless fields and peach forest in front of her, feeling relaxed and happy. She thought that even if she couldn't invite anyone, she could just treat it as an outing. If there was a chance, she must bring Xiao Bao over to play. Last time when she went camping with Lu Ting Xiao, she didn't take Xiao Bao with her. Ning Shi always felt sorry for Xiao Bao, so she prepared to give Xiao Bao a spring outing. Gong Xianxia glanced at the GPS on his phone. First, follow this small path straight ahead. All right, let's go. Ning Shi plucked a peach blossom from the roadside and walked forward in high spirits. However, half an hour later, both of them were dumbfounded. Gong Xianxia, are we lost? Gong Xianxia fiddled with his phone anxiously. But that's what the navigation says. So, does the GPS want us to swim over? Ning Shi stared at the wide river in front of her. Gong Xianxia sighed. The terrain here is complicated and the navigation is probably inaccurate. I was careless. Left with no choice, the two of them could only continue to walk around. It was only in the evening that they finally saw a small courtyard. Chapter 1023. Every household in the Peach Blossom Village was very far away from each other, and Song Jin lived in a particularly remote place. It was really difficult to find someone who came here for the first time. Fortunately, they finally found her today, so their trip was not in vain. Not far in front of them, there was an antique little courtyard. The chimney on the roof was emitting wisps of smoke. Behind the house was a large and dense peach blossom forest. Not far away was a sparkling paddy field. Occasionally, the sound of an old ox could be heard in the courtyard. Open up the wilderness in the south, defend one's clumsiness, and return to the garden. The Fong residence is more than 10 acres, with 8 or 9 thatch cottages. Behind the eaves of the elm and willow trees, in front of the peaches and plums. In a warm, distant village, in the ruins of smoke. TSK. Looks like Elder Song is a fan of Tao Yuanming? Ning Shi laughed. After running around for a whole day, Gong Xianxia was about to collapse from exhaustion. But when he turned his head, Ning Shi was still reciting poems in high spirits. It was really indescribable. The courtyard did not have a door. It was just a fence made of a few pieces of wood. The two slightly tidied up their appearance, then walked in front of the wooden door. Excuse me, is Mr. Song home? Gong Xianxia called out to the courtyard. There was no movement inside. However, looking at the chimney on the roof, there must be someone at home. The two called out a few more times, and sure enough, after a while, a figure came out of the house. They saw that the person was wearing a coarse long robe, had a white beard, was hale and hearty, and had the demeanor of an immortal. After seeing Song Jin, Ning Shi's heart suddenly thumped. The old man looked like he had no desires, and people without desires were the most difficult to deal with. Mr. Song. Gong Xianxia was Song Jin's diehard fan. When he saw his idol, his exhaustion disappeared, and he was full of excitement. He said excitedly, "Mr. Song, I'm sorry to disturb your peace. My name is Xianxia. I'm a designer, and I like your works very much. You are my favorite calligrapher, and I still have your superb Tinley Frog Cry in my collection." Xianxia was indeed a qualified fan. He was very familiar with Song Jin's works, and the passion and excitement in his eyes were all real and pure. From Ning Shi's point of view, if she had such a cute and enthusiastic fan who came all the way to see her, she should at least invite him in for a cup of tea. "There are no painters here, only an old man. Please go back." However, Song Jin's expression was very indifferent from the beginning to the end. His gaze did not seem to be looking at the two of them, but at two lifeless things. In the end, he only replied with this sentence and went straight into the house. Looking at the merciless closing of the door, Xianxia's face was full of disappointment. "Although I was prepared, but..." Ning Shi patted him on the shoulder. "It's nothing. At least you got to see your idol." Xianxia perked up again. "I still want to wait a little longer." Ning Shi had the same plan. "Then let's wait a little longer. Maybe Elder Song will be willing to see us after seeing our sincerity." The two of them waited outside the door until sunset. Seeing that it was getting darker and darker, Ning Shi sighed. "God is so uncooperative. How nice it would be if there was a heavy downpour at this time." However, it was obvious that the heavens were not on their side. They waited until the end, but there was no rain. Of course, Song Jin did not change her mind either. "Xianxia, come back tomorrow. Any later, and we won't be able to catch the last bus." Although Xianxia was unwilling, he could only leave first. Chapter 10:24. The next day, Ning Shi and Xianxia once again went to the Peach Blossom Village. Because he already had experience this time, he knew how to get there, so he arrived at noon. The two of them met Song Jin on the way to the fields. Song Jin was wearing a straw hat and was transplanting rice seedlings in the fields. Song Jin's skill in transplanting seedlings was experienced and fast. At first glance, he looked exactly like an ordinary villager. Who would have thought that he was a famous Chinese traditional painting master? From the corner of his eyes, he saw that the two people from yesterday had come to visit again. Song Jin did not have any special reaction. She was still indifferently doing her own things. Ning Shi had failed to get close to him yesterday, so she decided to change her routine this time. So, she went straight to the point and said, "Hello, Mr. Song. I'm Ning Shi, the person in charge of Ziling's studio. This is our designer, Xianxia. Ziling is a clothing design company that focuses on Huan national style. Our designers like your work very much, and also because your work is very compatible with our style, we are here to talk about cooperation with you. I wonder if you can consider it." After a short moment of silence, Song Jin straightened up and looked in Ning Shi's direction. "Young man, you should find someone else. I've already said that I'm just an old man. I can't help you." Ning Shi scratched her head speechlessly. Damn, why is it this sentence again? However, from this sentence, it could be seen that Song Jin had no interest in worldly affairs anymore. Who knew what could interest him? "Elder Song, don't you want to reconsider? Even if you don't care about fame and fortune, don't you want your works to be passed down and display greater value?" Ning Shi asked tentatively. Hearing this, Song Jin's figure seemed to freeze. Could there be a chance? Ning Shi immediately looked over nervously, but the other party bent down and continued transplanting. All right, he failed again. However, it was no wonder. Song Jin had already reached the top and was famous both in China and abroad. Why would she care about cooperating with a clothing company? Ning Shi and Xianxia took turns trying to persuade him, but still returned empty-handed. Before leaving, Ning Shi put the documents of the studio at the door. Seeing Xianxia's listless look, Ning Shi patted his shoulder and said, "Don't be discouraged. Liu Bei invited Zhuge Liang to visit the thatched cottage 3 times. Let's fight tomorrow. Maybe it'll be done tomorrow." In the end, he failed again on the 3rd day. After returning from the Peach Blossom Village, Ning Shi went straight to the Platinum Gold Palace. As soon as she entered the room, Ning Shi threw herself on the sofa. Oh, it's so difficult. What happened?" Lu Tingxiao was sitting on the sofa, reading the newspaper. Seeing the girl in such a state, as soon as she came in, he touched the girl's hair and asked, "That's the Chinese painting master I told you about. It's so hard to invite him." "Ning," she murmured. "Songjin." "Yeah." He was completely unmoved by force or persuasion. The key is that he has no desires and nowhere to start. Ning, she couldn't help but complain. "It's unlikely that you'll be able to invite Ms. Song. I suggest you find someone else," Lu Tingxiao said. All right, since even Lu Tingxiao said so, it was probably hopeless. Ning, she sighed. "I also think it's impossible. Let's try for the last time tomorrow." That unlucky child, Gong Xianxia, had been staying indoors for a long time. His body was too weak, and he had fallen sick from running around for the past few days. "Tomorrow I have to go alone." "Oh no, no, tomorrow is Saturday. I'll just take Little Bun on a spring outing." "Perfect." Chapter 1025. As soon as Ning, she finished her words, a soft little bun ran downstairs and threw itself into her arms, his face shining with expectation. Seeing Xiao Bao so excited at the mention of a spring outing, Ning, she felt a little guilty. "Sorry, Bun. I haven't taken you out for a long time. Let's go tomorrow, and we'll go alone." "Going with Mama without Papa?" When Little Bun heard this, his eyes lit up even brighter, almost dazzling Ning Shi's eyes. Ning Shi said, "Yes." No big light bulb. "Lu Tingxiao, isn't this retribution coming a little too fast?" "What? Do you have a problem with that?" Ning Shi looked at Lu Tingxiao and raised her eyebrows. Lu Tingxiao said helplessly no. This girl knew that he had to go on a business trip tomorrow and wouldn't be able to go. "Okay, then it's decided." Xiao Bao was so excited that he couldn't sleep the whole night since he decided to go on a spring outing with Mama. It was the first time in his life that he would go on a spring outing with Mama. The next morning, Xiao Bao got up and began to pack and prepare for the spring outing. The family of 3 packed up and were ready to go separately. At this time, a man suddenly rushed over from the opposite villa. "Wait, me too. Me too. Lu Jingli, why are you here?" Ning, she looked at him in surprise. "My brother said you're going on a spring outing. There must be a barbecue. There must be a picnic. I want to go too." Lu Jingli looked like he was about to drool. Ning, she was speechless. "Are you here for the spring outing or for food?" "For food, of course. Sister-in-law, the barbecue you made last time was delicious. I won't eat for free. I'll be your backpack's coolie," Lu Jingli said with a flattering face. "It's in the wilderness. Let Jingli go with you," Lu Tingxiao said. "Okay." Ning, she thought it was good to have someone to help her backpack. She did bring a lot of things today. Do you mind taking one more person?" Jiang Mai's voice came from behind. Looking at Jiang Mai, who had popped out of nowhere, Lu Jingli was annoyed that there was another person stealing his food. "What the fuck? Jiang Mai, why are you everywhere? It's one thing to freeload off a midnight snack, but you're also freeloading off a spring outing. Didn't you say we were going to the wilderness? There shouldn't be anyone in the wilderness, right? I've been suffering from crowd syndrome recently, and I get a headache whenever I see a lot of people. I need a place like this to relax," Jiang Mai said in a weak and worried tone. The corners of Ning Shi's mouth twitched. What the hell is crowd syndrome? It's the problem of people like us who are too popular. It's not your fault that you don't understand. Jiang Mai sighed. Ning Shi, his hands were itching to beat someone up. In the end, Ning Shi and Xiao Bao became 3 people and then 4 people. So be it. One can help carry the bag, and the other can carry Xiao Bao when he's tired. This is the rhythm of Pigsy and the White Dragon Horse. Pretty good. After making the decision, Ning Shi walked up to Lu Tingxiao and said goodbye. "Honey, let's go." As soon as Lu Jingli and Jiang Mai heard Ning Shi speak in such a soft and sweet tone, they knew it was time to show off. They immediately quickened their steps and walked further away. What the eye doesn't see, the heart doesn't grieve over. Chapter 1026. Well, have fun. Lu Tingxiao patted the girl's head. Ning Shi looked at Lu Tingxiao, who still had to work overtime on the weekend, and suddenly felt sorry for him. "Sigh, I suddenly feel sorry for leaving you alone. What should I do?" Although she was originally going to work today, The atmosphere now seemed to have completely turned into an outing. Lu Tingxiao pinched the girl's soft earlobes and whispered, "Make it up to me in the future." She blinked her eyes. "Why don't I make it up to you now?" "That's enough. There are still minors here." Lu Jingli howled not far away. She tiptoed and kissed Lu Tingxiao on the cheek, then waved goodbye to the child's father. It was the first time for Little Bun to take a bus like this. He was very excited along the way, especially when they arrived at the Peach Blossom Village. Looking at the scenery in front of him, the little guy's eyes were full of curiosity and light. Although she had seen the same scenery 3 times and was already numb to it, it was a new experience because she was with Little Bun this time. The scenery is so beautiful. There is no trace of human activity at all. The most important thing is that there is no one here. Cool. Oh. Xianxia looked at the green mountains and clear waters in the distance and screamed. It seemed that he had been holding back for a long time. "Hey, did you tell Brother Ming when you came out today?" She asked casually. "Xianxia, why should I tell him?" Lei Ming didn't know what sin he had committed in his previous life to be Xianxia's agent in this life. She didn't have the heart to do that, so she sent a text message to Lei Ming to tell him. Wow, delicious. It's so sweet. While she was not paying attention, Lu Jingli had already climbed up the tree. He was picking a few peach blossoms and eating the honey in the stamens. Sure enough, he was a foodie. She also picked some and gave it to Little Bun. Little Bun licked a little, her eyes sparkling. "Let's go. The scenery in front is even better." She had not come here for nothing. She had already figured out the nearby route and knew the best scenery and the most fun places. It was no problem for her to be a good tour guide. Along the way, the 4 of them went sightseeing. At noon, she took them to a beautiful peach forest to settle down and start a picnic. Lu Jingli finally waited for the moment he had been waiting for. He quickly set up the barbecue rack that he had been carrying all the way and then took out all the ingredients and arranged them properly. She was instructing Xianxia to spread the tablecloth and set the tableware. After that, she asked the 2 of them to get busy, and she took little Bowsy to catch butterflies and rabbits. "Golden Fur, are you done yet? Come here, there is a rabbit here. Go catch it. We'll have an extra meal today." Lying on the ground, Xianxia watched the big and the small jumping not far away. Only then did he suddenly realize that he had fallen into a trap. He was simply here to be a coolie. No wonder Lu Tingxiao didn't object when he said he wanted to come over. "Catch my ass. I'm not a dog. You can even catch rabbits." Xianxia snorted. "Useless. Help me take care of Xiao Bao. This young master will go catch it." She said and ran away. After a while, she came back with a fluffy white rabbit in her hand. Xianxia was speechless. "Are you a fucking woman or not?" Seeing the rabbit in Mama's hand, little Bowsy immediately ran over excitedly. She squatted down and said softly to little Bowsy, "Do you want to touch it? It's so fluffy and soft." Chapter 10:27. It was Little Bun's first time seeing a real rabbit. He hesitated for a moment and then reached out his little hand to touch the rabbit. After that, Little Bun's eyes widened. It was soft, furry. She couldn't help laughing at Little Bun's lively expression. Was it fun? Little steamed Bun nodded repeatedly, fondling it lovingly. The rabbit was still kicking when it was in Ningxi's hand. But after Little Bun touched it, it quieted down. "Wow, what a fat rabbit. Quick, roast it," Lu Jingli said excitedly. When Little Bun heard this, she immediately glared at Lu Jingli and hugged the rabbit. "Roast your head. You only know how to eat." She snapped. "Sister-in-law, didn't you say you caught it for dinner?" Lu Jingli said innocently. She said, "Xiao Bao likes it. Don't eat it now." Xiao Bao nodded vigorously. "Don't eat the rabbit. It's mine." Lu Jingli, "It belongs to my stomach." "Did you bring the first aid kit?" She asked. Xiaomai frowned. "Are you hurt? I told you not to catch the rabbit." "The rabbit is hurt, okay." She took out the first aid kit and began to bandage the rabbit. Wild rabbits ran very fast and were very alert. How could she catch it so easily? Because one of the rabbit's legs was injured, she caught it. Little Bun touched the rabbit's head with a distressed look, as if it was him who was in pain. After the bandage, she carefully put the rabbit in Little Bun's arms. The rabbit was well-behaved in Little Bun's arms. Why do you have to do this? It's better to eat it directly. Lu Jingli looked distressed. Fortunately, he soon forgot about the rabbit because Ningxi began to roast it. In the woods, the fragrance of peach blossoms and the tempting aroma of food mixed together, making people salivate and hungry. As the four of them were eating, they heard squeaking footsteps behind them. Ningxi subconsciously turned her head and saw Song Jin walking towards the peach forest with a basket in her hand while leading the oxen. I was having too much fun and almost forgot about the important matter. The reason why she chose this place to have a picnic was because she found that Song Jin would usually come here for lunch after finishing her farm work. Elder Song, are you done with your work? Do you want to come over and eat with us? Ningxi asked enthusiastically. After coming here for 3 days, she was already familiar with them. In addition, she didn't have much hope this time, so her attitude was much more relaxed. Song Jin looked at them, and when her gaze fell on Xiao Bao, she said, "Thank you, I brought lunch." 10 steps away from Ningxi and the others, he sat under a tree root and began to eat his lunch. The basket was filled with simple cornbread and pickled vegetables. "Is he Song Jin?" Jiang Mai asked. On the way, Ningxi had already talked to Jiang Mai and Lu Jingli about Song Jin. "Yeah, isn't it very transcendent?" Ningxi clicked her tongue. On the side, Lu Jingli's mouth was covered in grease as he mumbled, "Even the most transcendent person has a weakness. Let me tell you. For example, my brother's weakness is you, and my weakness is delicious food. Haha, you can use your brother as an example, but you forget it. Anyway, that's what I mean. He must have something he wants, but you haven't found it yet." Chapter 1028. It's the same as not saying anything. If she knew what Song Jin wanted, she wouldn't be running around like a headless fly. Seeing Little Bun feeding the rabbit grass while eating by himself, Ningxi's big eyes were full of liveliness. Ningxi held her forehead and wiped Little Bun's mouth. She was in a good mood again. She was worried that Little Bun wouldn't be able to adapt to this place, but she didn't expect him to be so good at it. She didn't feel tired at all. It seemed that she could take Little Bun out more often in the future. Nature was always the most healing. Looking at Ningxi's motherly expression, Jiang Mai's mood was indescribable. Not far away, Song Jin finished his lunch and went back to work in the fields. Ningxi and the others took a nap in the peach forest. When they got up in the afternoon, she took them to several other places to have fun. The four of them played happily until the evening. When they were about to go home, it suddenly rained, and the rain was getting heavier and heavier without any warning. Little Bun protected the rabbit in his arms nervously. She quickly carried Little Bun up. Lu Jingli took off his coat and wrapped Little Bun up. The four of them hurried out of the village. However, it was at least half an hour away from the village. With the rain, the road would be more and more difficult to walk. The situation was really bad. She was speechless. "Damn, are you kidding me? The rain didn't fall when it was supposed to, but it fell so happily when it wasn't supposed to. Where's the nearest place to hide from the rain?" Jiao Mai asked. "Only Old Song's house, but it's impossible. Old Song doesn't allow strangers to enter her house. Last time, I tried to go in and ask for some water, but she refused," she said. As they were talking, they happened to pass by Song Jin's house. Just when they were hesitating whether to ask for help, the door of the yard suddenly opened. Song Jin stood at the door and looked at them. "Come in." "What? She invited them in? Was there such a good thing?" "Thank you, old Mr. Song." She didn't have time to think. She hurried into the house with Little Bun in her arms. "Thank you, old Mr. Song." Jiang Mai and Lu Jingli also thanked him. Song Jin's attitude was still quite indifferent. "It's just for the sake of the child." She put the Little Bun down. "Baby, quickly thank Grandpa Song." Little Bun nodded her head. First, she let her mama carry the rabbit in her arms. Then, she took out her writing board and seriously wrote 5 words. Thank you, Grandpa. Song Jin was only slightly stunned when she saw that Xiao Bao was using a writing board to communicate with her. However, a trace of astonishment flashed across her eyes when she saw Xiao Bao's handwriting clearly. This child is so young, but he can actually write so well. The pitter-patter of rain was incessant outside, and it seemed like it wouldn't stop anytime soon. Song Jin told them to do as they pleased, and then entered the study. Lu Jingli couldn't stay still and soon got bored. He rolled his eyes and suddenly took out a deck of cards from his bag. It's so boring. Let's play cards. Sure, Jiao agreed. But how are we going to fight with 3 people? Lu Jingli looked at Little Bun with a smile. Let's teach Little Bun and let him play with us. In the study, Song Jin was originally concentrating on painting while the rain was in high spirits. Hearing this, she couldn't bear it anymore. She opened the door and waved to Xiao Bao. Child, come to Grandpa. Chapter 1029. Little Bun glanced at his mom, subconsciously. Ningxi smiled and kissed Bun's little face. Go ahead, play with Grandpa for a while. She was speechless at Lu Jingli, this swindler. She was worried about his future children. Little Bun nodded and went to the old man's room. He had just found that there were many paintings in the old man's study, so he couldn't help but look up at them. Do you like them? Song Jin asked with a rare look of gentleness when she saw the little boy staring at them. Little Bun nodded. Do you know calligraphy? Do you know how to write with a brush? Song Jin asked again. Little Bun continued to nod. Then, do you know how to draw? Song Jin asked again with a hint of imperceptible nervousness in her tone. Little Bun nodded again. Song Jin immediately spread out a blank piece of paper and made room for Little Bun. Do you want to try? Outside, Ningxi, Lu Jingli, and Xianxia were playing Fight the Landlord. Lu Jingli glanced in the direction of the study and curled his lips. What's so fun about Xiao Bao hanging out with an old man? He might as well come and play cards with us. My steam bun loves to draw. With Elder Song's attainments in Chinese painting, it's worth it to receive a few words of advice from him. What's the point of playing mahjong with you? Ning, she said unhappily. Lu Jingli clicked his tongue. Cici, you're becoming more and more professional as a mother. After a long time, the door of the study suddenly opened and Song Jin and Little Bun came out. Song Jin, who had always looked calm and aloof, was obviously excited at this moment. She glanced at Lu Jingli and Jiao and asked, which one of you is the father of the child? Lu Jingli was stunned by this sudden question and then answered subconsciously, I'm not. Song Jin immediately looked at Jiao. Jiao coughed and said, I'm not either. Lu Jingli continued, I'm the child's second uncle. Jiao said, I'm his, cousin. Seeing Song Jin's strange expression, she couldn't help asking, Elder Song, what's the matter? Song Jin immediately looked at Ningxi. Are you the child's mother? Can you make the decision about this child? Huh? About the baby? What is it? Ningxi thought for a while. Well, if it's a big deal, we should listen to the child's father. After Ningxi finished speaking, she glanced at Little Bun, who had walked up to her, and cast a suspicious look. Baby, what's going on? Little Bun blinked with a confused look on his face. It was obvious that he didn't know either. Both Lu Jingli and Jiao were confused as well. Hearing Ningxi's words, Song Jin looked anxious and asked, Then, where is the child's father now? Can I meet him? Ningxi felt even more strange. Just as she was about to speak, there was a knock on the door, accompanied by the pitter-patter of rain. Who would be knocking on the door at this time in the wilderness? Song Jin calmed down and walked out absent-mindedly to open the door. She saw a tall man standing outside the door. The man was wearing a black trench coat and holding an umbrella in his hand. He was standing quietly in the night wind. Chapter 1030. You are? Song Jin sized up the newcomer with a burning gaze. The man was wet, and his trousers were stained with mud. However, even though he looked disheveled, his aura didn't diminish at all. Instead, he gave off a refreshing feeling. Song Jin knew many people and immediately concluded that the man in front of her was not simple. There had been many people who had come here to invite him for various reasons, but none of them had such an aura. But this person, why does he look somewhat familiar? Sorry to disturb you so late at night. I'm looking for someone, the man said. Song Jin guessed that he was looking for the 4 people who had just come in, so she let him in. Come in. Song Jin came back soon, followed by a man. Seeing who it was, Ningxi's eyes widened and she rushed to him. Lu Tingxiao, why are you here? I'm worried about you and the child. Seeing that she and Xiaobao were fine, Lu Tingxiao was a little relieved. Look, you're all wet. Ningxi took out a tissue and wiped the man nervously. Lu Tingxiao said, it's okay. Lu Jingli, who was completely ignored, was displeased. Hey, are you worried about your wife and child? There's still your biological brother and nephew here. Jiang, don't bring me into this. Just ignore me. Wife and child. Song Jin was stunned. He was the child's father? No wonder he looked familiar. They did look like father and son. Mr. Song, aren't you looking for Xiaobao's father? That's him. Lu Jingli looked at Song Jin and said. She suddenly remembered to explain to Lu Tingxiao. Elder Song seems to be looking for you. It seems to be about Xiaobao. Finally seeing the child's father, Song Jin didn't beat around the bush and said directly, your son is very talented in painting. I want to take him as my disciple. Huh? Elder Song, you want to take Xiaobao as your disciple? She said in surprise. Yes. Song Jin nodded with a serious expression. She looked at Lil Bao with a burning gaze. She didn't expect Song Jin to make such a request. She didn't know how to react. Song Jin had been single all his life, had no children, and had never accepted an apprentice. When she read the information, she thought he had no intention of accepting an apprentice, so she was a little surprised. From the looks of it now, it wasn't that he had no intention of accepting disciples, but that he hadn't met anyone he wanted to accept. Elder Song must have tested Xiaobao in the study just now, which was why she had such an idea. Elder Song, who had never accepted a disciple in her life, took a fancy to him. She was full of pride. Her son was the best. In fact, even Lu Tingxiao was a little surprised. He didn't expect that Song Jin would propose to accept she as her apprentice when she just took her child out for a spring outing and took shelter from the rain here. With Song Jin's attainments, it was undoubtedly a great fortune for Xiaobao that she was willing to accept him. So Lu Tingxiao exchanged a look with Ningxi and said, we've admired you for a long time, Senior Song. Of course we can't wait to meet you. However, this still depends on the child's own opinion. Jiangmai, husband and wife, aren't you a little too smooth with your words? You're not married yet. Chapter 1031. Of course. Song Jin nodded. She squatted down and asked Xiaobao, would you like to learn painting from this grandpa Song? Xiaobao touched the fluffy white rabbit in his arms, blinked his eyes, looked at Papa, Mama, and then at the old man. Finally, under Song Jin's uneasy gaze, Xiaobao nodded. The moment the little fellow nodded, Song Jin was so excited that she almost burst into tears. Good. From now on, you are my only disciple. I will definitely pass on all my painting skills to you. Then, under the guidance of Papa and Mama, Xiaobao followed the steps of apprenticeship and served tea to Song Jin obediently, which could be regarded as a formal apprenticeship. After that, Lu Tingxiao thought for a while and said, but there's a problem. Sir, you live in a remote place. That's okay. I can move for my good disciple. I will move to a nearby place where you live. Song Jin said straightforwardly. The more he looked at Xiaobao, the more he liked him. His painting technique and skills had extremely high requirements for talent and spirituality. Originally, he did not expect to find a satisfactory successor in this life, but he did not expect God to be so kind to him. In the end, he still found this child. She didn't know what to say after hearing Song Jin's words. In order to meet this great master, she had to travel far and wide, but when it was Xiaobao's turn, Elder Song was so considerate that she went to his door to serve him. My Bao is awesome. Because it was late and it was raining outside, Song Jin, who was in a good mood, asked them to stay for the night. Lu Jingli and Jiang Mai stayed in one room, and Ning Shi, Lu Tingxiao, and Xiao Bao stayed in another. Little Bun seemed to really like that rabbit. Even when he slept, he would hug it in his arms like a treasure. Lu Tingxiao saw the rabbit in his son's arms just now. He looked at Ning Shi and asked, "Where did you get the rabbit?" Ning Shi said proudly, "I caught it. I was going to roast it, but Xiao Bao likes it, so I let him play with it. Isn't it cute? It's so fluffy. It's so soft. Cute." Lu Tingxiao stretched out his broad palm and touched the rabbit's ear. Xiao Bao immediately took the rabbit to Mama. "It's mine. You can't touch it." Lu Tingxiao. Seeing Lu Tingxiao's depressed look, Ning Shi chuckled and rubbed her head against his. "Don't be sad. I'll let you touch it." Little Bun. The little fellow immediately gave the rabbit to Lu Tingxiao. "Papa, you'd better touch the rabbit." "Ha ha ha." Seeing this, Ning Shi held her stomach and laughed uncontrollably. Looking at his son, Lu Tingxiao sighed helplessly. Although the father and son had united the battle line and the general direction remained the same, they still fought when it was time to fight for favor. "Oh, that's great. This time, in addition to the ancient martial arts teacher, our baby also has a painting teacher. He is really well-versed in both the pen and the sword." "Ning," she said happily. Lu Tingxiao said, "Ning Shi." Lu Tingxiao suddenly called her seriously. Ning Shi was confused. "What's wrong?" Lu Tingxiao. "Thank you." Ning Shi. "Why are you thanking me?" Lu Tingxiao. "Thank you for treating Xiao Bao so well." Ning Shi stroked the little bun's head, her gaze gentle. "Isn't it natural for me to treat my son well? Steam Bun, right?" Xiao Bao nodded decisively. The night was getting late. Outside the window was the pitter-patter of rain, and the air was filled with the fragrance of earth. Xiao Bao gradually fell asleep and slept soundly. Chapter 1032. Ning Shi laid on the bed and gently patted Little Bun's back. "These days are really pleasant. When I retire one day, I will also find a place with such verdant hills and clear waters to live in seclusion." "Are you sure? There's no electricity or Wi-Fi here. What do I need those for? You and Little Treasure are enough for me." Ning Shi was chatting with Lu Tingxiao. At this time, there was a sudden knocking sound on the wall behind them. Then they heard Lu Jingli's faint voice coming from next door. "Please, the soundproofing here isn't good. Do you have any humanity left in the middle of the night? If you do this again, I'm going to call the police." Ning Shi. "Oh, sorry, I almost forgot you guys are still here." In the room next door, Lu Jingli, Jiao Mai Lu Jingli angrily bit the pillow, then hugged the quilt and rolled around on the bed. "Ah, I really want to fall in love." Jiao Mai moved away from him in disdain. The next morning, Song Jin cooked porridge with side dishes and a few salted duck eggs. Probably because the ingredients were good, it tasted very fragrant and refreshing. Lu Jingli ate 5 big bowls of porridge and was not afraid of bursting to death. "Elder Song, I've already arranged a place for you to stay. I'll send someone to pick you up when it's convenient for you," Lu Tingxiao said. Song Jin did not refuse and immediately agreed. "Tomorrow, then. I'll pack my things today." Lu Tingxiao. "Okay." After they finished talking, Song Jin suddenly looked at Ning, she who was feeding the rabbit with cabbage leaves. "Girl, here. Elder Song, did you call me?" "Ning," she hurriedly responded. "I agree to your request," Song Jin said after thinking for a while. "Ah." Ning Shi had thought that Song Jin was going to talk to her about Xiao Bao. She was stunned for a moment before she realized what Song Jin was talking about. Her face was full of disbelief. "You mean the cooperation with our studio? You agreed?" "Yes." Song Jin nodded, then looked at Little Bun and said, "Thank you for allowing me to accept such a good disciple." Ning Shi almost cried tears of joy. She hugged Little Bun, who was next to her, and cried, "Oh, Steam Bun, you really are my little lucky star." Little Bun pursed her lips, feeling a little embarrassed by Mama's praise. After the excitement, Ning Shi calmed herself down, and then she coughed slightly and asked, "Elder Song, although I really hope to invite you to cooperate with us, of course, The most important thing is that you do it out of your own will. Song Jin understood what the girl meant and said, I've seen the information you left at the door. The little designer who came with you. What's his name again? Gong Xianxia. Yes, that kid's design is really good. It's not a disgrace to my reputation. Knowing that Song Jin agreed because she recognized Zhe Ling's ability, Ning she finally felt relieved. Thank you for your appreciation, Elder Song. We won't let you down. Chapter 1033. Ning, she went to the studio to tell everyone the good news. What? Mr. Song agreed. Han Momo jumped up in excitement. Sister Shi, you're amazing. Xiao Weilan had been worrying about the selection of a master painter when Ning, she came with good news. She heaved a sigh of relief and was even more surprised. She didn't expect that she could really do it. Sister Shi, how did you do it? Boss, did you invite Mr. Song? Gong Xianxia walked out when he heard the noise outside. Yeah, didn't we leave a copy of our studio's information at Mr. Song's door? Mr. Song said he read it and praised you. He said your design was good, so it wasn't a disgrace to his reputation. Gong Xianxia's eyes turned red with excitement. Boss, are you serious? Of course I'm serious. Why would I lie to you? Do your best. But the most important thing is to take care of your health. After all, your health is the key to success. You can't just stay at home and not exercise. Ning, she said worriedly. Got it. I got it, boss. I'll do my best to design and exercise. Thank you. Thank you, boss. Gong Xianxia bowed with all his might. Meanwhile, at the Platinum Palace. Master, madam. The old butler greeted Yin Rui and Lu Chongshan when he saw them. Yin Rui looked at the servants who were bustling in and out and asked suspiciously, What are they doing? Young master told us to tidy up the building next to the greenhouse. Someone wants to move in, the old butler answered honestly. Someone wants to move in? Yin Rui's expression changed. Could it be that the woman wanted to move in? Yin Rui glanced at Lu Chongshan, who had obviously thought of the same thing. Had they finally moved in? Tingxiao. Yin Rui called out to her son when she saw him from afar. Lu Tingxiao heard his mother's voice and walked over. Dad, Mom, what's up? Yin Rui glared at her son. Can I come to see you in Xiaobao? Let me ask you, what are you doing? What was he going to do with the small building? Are you going to let Ningxi move in? Lu Chongshan's face darkened. Even if the two of you are a couple now, isn't it too much for you to cohabit before marriage? Lu Tingxiao looked at his parents expressionlessly. Song Jin. What Song Jin and Song Ming? Yin Rui didn't understand what his son meant. Lu Tingxiao said, The person who will be moving in is Song Jin, Mr. Song. What? Don't tell me it's that Chinese painting master Song Jin? Lu Chongshan asked in shock. Lu Tingxiao and Meichim. Isn't Master Song living in seclusion in the Peach Blossom Village? Moreover, he did not see any outsiders at all. Why would he come to live here? Lu Chongshan felt that his son's lie was too ridiculous. Lu Tingxiao said, Song Jin has already accepted Xiao Bao as her disciple. He agreed to move here for the convenience of teaching. Upon hearing those words, Lu Chongshan and Yin Rui were stunned. Lu Chongshan said in shock, What did you say? Song Jin accepted Xiao Bao as her disciple? When did this happen? Yin Rui naturally knew who Song Jin was. She said anxiously, You damned child, can't you just say it clearly in one go? Why'd I have to ask you a question? That's why I said a few words. What's going on? Tell me clearly. Chapter 1034. How did you manage to invite Song Jin? Lu Chongshan asked, and he could not help but look excited. If he could invite Song Jin to teach Xiao Bao, it would be a great thing. Most importantly, Song Jin wasn't someone who could be invited with money, so he was really curious about how his son did it. It wasn't me. Lu Tingxiao was still a man of few words. Lu Chongshan was almost driven to death by his son's bad temper. Glancing at Lu Jingli, who was humming a song, he hurriedly stopped him. Jingli, come here. I have something to ask you. Hearing his father calling him, Lu Jingli walked over hesitantly, but stood far away. Dad, you, what do you want? I'd rather die than get married. Yin Rui glanced at her son, speechlessly. Your father, and I want to ask you about Xiaobao's apprenticeship with Songjin. Do you know about it? Yes, I was there when Xiaobao was apprenticed last night. What's wrong? Lu Jingli nodded. Really? Come on. Come and tell mom and dad what's going on. I'll be mad if I talk to your brother. Yin Rui hurriedly pulled Lu Jingli and asked. Lu Jingli scratched his head and said, My sister-in-law invited Song Jin to the studio for the new products of the next season, but she didn't manage to invite her. On the fourth day, yesterday, it happened to be a Saturday. The scenery there was very good, so my sister-in-law took Xiaobao there for a spring outing. My brother was on a business trip that day, so Jiangmai and I went with him to do hard labor and have fun. My sister-in-law also caught a rabbit. She wanted to roast it, but Xiaobao liked it so much that she gave it to him to play with. Oh, how nice it would be for me to roast it. That rabbit is so spicy and fat. It must be delicious. The blue veins on Lu Chongshan's forehead twitched. Get to the point. Yin Rui touched her forehead helplessly. One was a man of few words, and the other was a chatterbox. Couldn't they balance each other out? Oh, Lu Jingli recalled the rabbit and then continued. Then it rained halfway, so we went to Mr. Song's place to hide from the rain. After that, Xiaobao had some contact with Mr. Song. Mr. Song probably discovered Xiaobao's talent in painting, so he took the initiative to take Xiaobao as his apprentice. Okay. Yin Rui nodded repeatedly. All right. After hearing Lu Jingli's explanation, Yin Rui and Lu Chongshan were shocked. Neither of them had expected that Xiaobao could become Song Jin's disciple because of Ning Shi. At night, after returning to the old house, Yin Rui was still thinking about this matter. Seeing that Yin Rui was distracted, Lu Chongshan asked, What are you thinking about? I'm thinking about Xiaobao's apprenticeship. It's actually because of that woman. Yin Rui muttered. Lu Chongshan frowned. What do you mean by that woman? Isn't it just a coincidence? It's all because our Xiaobao is talented. Yin Rui shook her head and said, That's too much a coincidence. Don't you think that ever since that woman appeared, everything in our family has been going well? There was no need to talk about Ting Xiao's transformation, especially Xiaobao. His body and mind were getting better and better, and he was slowly becoming like a normal person. No, how would he be like a normal person? Our Xiaobao is even smarter than Ting Xiao was back then. Now, Xiaobao actually managed to invite Song Jin, who was originally impossible to invite, to be his first teacher. I heard that the teacher who taught Xiaobao martial arts is also a very powerful person. Chapter 1035. At this point, Yin Rui paused and looked at her husband. Is all of this really just a coincidence? Over the past 5 years, Ting Xiao and Xiaobao's situation hasn't changed at all, but it changed as soon as this woman appeared? Lu Chongshan pinched his eyebrows. What are you trying to say? I'm thinking of the 8 characters that Master Xianjing calculated for Ning Shi. Unparalleled fortune, bringing prosperity to one's husband and family, a life of many children, many blessings. Now it's coming true step by step. Yin Rui said excitedly. Lu Chongshan was stunned. I told you not to believe in these things. Although that was what he said, Lu Chongshan's expression was slightly deep in thought. In the evening, Ningxi invited Gong Xianxia, Han Momo, and Xiao Weilan to have dinner together to celebrate. After returning to the apartment, Ningxi took a shower and put on a velvet bunny one-piece pajamas in a good mood. Then she sat cross-legged on the bed and began to calculate the accounts. Recently, the studio's profits had been very impressive. The figure had exceeded 10 million yuan. Compared to ordinary people, she was now a little rich woman. Ningxi planned that it was almost time to buy a small villa. Although the place she was living in was very private, it was a place arranged by the company after all. There were still a lot of people who knew that she lived here. It was inconvenient for Lu Tingxiao to come here usually, so it was better to buy a house by himself. It was a home of her own. After all, neither the small shabby house arranged by Starlight Entertainment nor the high-end apartment building arranged by Xianxia Entertainment belonged to her. Of course, the most important thing was that it was convenient for her to keep a mistress in her house. After careful planning, Ningxi had basically put the matter of buying a house on the agenda. She was going to ask Lu Tingxiao's opinion and see what he liked. Of course, there was also Xiao Bao. Seeing that it was still early, Ningxi was going to make a lunch for Xiao Bao. As soon as she walked into the kitchen, she remembered that she had run out of soy sauce. So she took off her apron and went to buy soy sauce. Because the convenience store was not far downstairs, Ningxi didn't change her clothes. She took the change and the key downstairs. "Boss, give me a bottle of soy sauce." Ningxi leaned on the counter and put the change on it. "Oh, okay." In the convenience store, a lady boss in her 40s or 50s handed a bottle of soy sauce to Ning. She looked her up and down, looking a little displeased. "It's so late. Why did your mother let a little girl like you out to buy soy sauce?" Ning, she was speechless. "It's okay, boss. My house is nearby." Ning, she tied her hair into 2 ponytails and wore cartoon one-piece pajamas. She looked like a 17-year-old minor. No wonder the boss misunderstood her. "You can't even get close. You're such a cute little girl. What if you meet a bad guy? Next time, don't come out alone at night." The lady boss reminded him. Ning, she nodded. "I know. Thank you, sister." Hearing Ning, she call her sister, the proprietress beamed with joy and gave her a colorful lollipop. "Take it and eat it." Thus, Ning, she held a bottle of soy sauce in her hand and a lollipop in her mouth that the lady boss had given her. She skipped happily towards her home. Just as he was thinking about what to cook for little Baozi later, a person suddenly appeared in front of him. Chapter 1036. It was a strange woman. She was wearing a tight black night suit and had the same aura as Feng Xiao, a killer's aura. "Brother Shi, Uncle Feng wants to see you." The woman looked at her and said expressionlessly. At this moment, Ningxi, damn it, she really met a bad guy. She had never expected that she would meet Feng Jin's men when she went downstairs to buy soy sauce. Now the only weapon she had to defend herself was a bottle of soy sauce. The woman said, and opened the black car door. "Please." Ningxi's brain worked quickly. The next second, she tilted her head and asked in confusion while biting her lollipop, "Sister, who are you? You seem to have mistaken me for someone else. I'm not the brother Shi you mentioned just now." The woman froze when she heard this. "You're not Tang Shi?" Ningxi continued to bite her lollipop and shook her head innocently. "Sister, I'm Rabbit." The woman looked her up and down and then glanced at the direction of Ningxi's apartment building, saying coldly, "I saw you coming out of room 701. Ning, she scratched her head. "I know sister in room 701. I often visit her, but she's a girl, not my brother." Looking at Ningxi's innocent look, the woman looked even more confused. Although she knew that Tang, she was actually a woman and had seen the photos of Tang, she in women's clothes. Compared with Ningxi, the person in front of her didn't seem to be the same person. Could it be that she was really mistaken? "Oh, it's so late. Pretty sister, I'm going home, or my mom will scold me." "Bye-bye," Ningxi said as she skipped and ran forward. Behind her, the woman looked a bit hesitant. At this time, a voice rang in the woman's Bluetooth earpiece. "Have you found her?" "Sorry, Uncle Feng. I seem to have mistaken the target of the mission." "Mistaken the target?" "Yes, I've just sent a photo to your cell phone. Please check if this person is Tang Shi." A moment later, Feng Jin's voice came from the Bluetooth earpiece. "The person in the photo is Tang Shi." The woman, "Are you kidding me? Tang Shi?" Tang, she was her Prince Charming. It was one thing for a Prince Charming to turn into a woman. Now, she had actually turned into a silly little rabbit. "Uncle Feng, sorry, it's my mistake." On the other end of the wireless earpiece, Feng Jin coughed lightly. "Forget it. This time, it's not your fault. Let's continue with the mission." "Yes." The woman hung up the wireless phone, moved, and instantly passed through a shortcut. She jumped over the wall and quickly chased after Ningxi. After a while, just when Ningxi finally left the woman's sight and rushed downstairs, a black shadow fell from the sky and landed in front of her. Looking at the person in front of her, Ningxi almost cursed it out loud. There was no need to ask. He must have been discovered. The woman stood in front of Ningxi with a cold look, looking her up and down like a penetrating ray. "Brother Shi, you're really good at disguising." Even I was almost fooled by you. Ning, she disguised my ass. This is how I am usually. This is my true form. I was originally a cute little rabbit. You stupid humans. Chapter 1037. Ningxi's gaze turned sharp and cold. We used to be colleagues. I don't want to hurt you. Get out of my way. Don't wait for me to attack you. The woman smiled nonchalantly. Brother Shi, I'm no match for you in the past, but now? I heard that you can't even take 5 hits from Feng Xiao. Ningxi? What the fuck? How did she know that? Brother Shi, come with me. I don't want to hurt you if I can, the woman said. Ningxi glanced at the gun on the woman's waist. She knew that she was trying to be polite before resorting to force. Ning, she didn't have a weapon with her. Even if she did, she wouldn't be able to defeat Feng Jin's men. After a while, Ning, she got in the car. There was a man in the car. The man was driving while the woman sat in the back with Ning Shi. The woman in black searched Ning Shi's body up and down, not even letting go of small black hair clip in her hair. Ning Shi tilted her head and looked at the woman who was searching her body. She said softly, "Stop searching, baby. I'm just going downstairs to buy some soy sauce. I didn't even bring my phone. What dangerous things could I have on me?" Hearing the voice beside her ear, the woman suddenly froze for a moment, and her ears inexplicably felt a little hot. That was Tang Shi's voice, Tang Shi's tone. Although Ning, she looked like a young girl now, her tone just now instantly overlapped with Tang Shi's. The woman shook her head and snapped out her trance. She quickly tied Ning Shi up tightly, not daring to let her guard down. "Pretty lady, can you tell me why Advisor Feng invited me over?" Ning, she asked tentatively. "I'm just following orders. I don't know anything else," the woman in black said expressionlessly. "You one of Satan's men, too. Why haven't I seen you before?" The woman didn't reply. She ignored Ning Shi's attempts to talk to her. Ning Shi had no choice but to close her eyes and wait to see what would happen next. What surprised Ning Shi was that the woman didn't cover her eyes, even though she had tied her up. She didn't seem to care that she knew where they were going. There were fewer lights and cars outside the car window. The car gradually left the city and headed towards the suburbs. Where were they planning to take her? Any further, and they would be in the wilderness. Just as all kinds of speculations were running through Ning Shi's mind, the car finally stopped in front of a retro villa. After getting off the car and seeing the place clearly, Ning Shi's face instantly turned pale, without a trace of blood. Holy shit, isn't this the famous haunted house in Imperial Capital? It was said that a woman had been hanged in the house, and she was already pregnant at that time. She had lost 2 lives, and the place was filled with Yin energy. Ever since then, the house had been haunted, and many strange and terrifying things had happened. One of the tenants was even scared to death. Since then, no one dared to take over the house. What's going on? Of all the places, why did he have to bring her here? She was most afraid of ghosts. Brother Shi, please let go. Ning Shi's hands were tied. She clung to the door with a few fingers and refused to let go. Not only that, but she also went back into the car. The woman exchanged a look with the driver and then dragged Ning Shi out. There was a gun behind Ning Shi's waist. She could only shake her legs and walk step by step toward the terrifying haunted house in front of her. Chapter 1038. The woman in black looked at Ning Shi's pale face and trembling legs, and a trace of suspicion flashed across her face. Ning Shi had been quite calm along the way, and even slept for a while, but when she arrived at the place, she didn't expect to be this scared. But it was no wonder that Ning Shi was scared. That person was really scary. The next second, with a creak, the woman in black pushed open the heavy door of the villa. The huge house was empty and gloomy. There were no lights in the house, only a few white candles on the wall. The candlelight swayed slightly, emitting a dim yellow light, making the whole house look even more eerie. Under the dim candlelight, the medieval oil paintings on the wall looked as scary as ghosts, and the sound of their footsteps echoed in the house. A clock, a bronze mirror, a silver candlestick, animal teeth, and antlers. Under those extremely retro decorations, the whole house was like a scene of a horror film. It was as if a hideous and bloody face of a ghost would suddenly appear in the mirror, or a white-clothed hanging ghost would suddenly appear in front of her. Ning, she walked forward step by step, her footsteps getting heavier and heavier, as if they were filled with lead. Behind her, the woman in black who was holding a gun against her saw that she was walking slower and slower, and her expression was clearly displeased. The woman in black was about to urge her, when the clock in the corner pointed to 12 o'clock with a click in the dead silent house. Dong, dong, dong. The huge bell rang without warning, echoing in the empty house. Ghost! The moment the bell rang, Ningxi's scream almost broke the roof. She almost rolled and crawled around, and then fell into the arms of the woman in black, trembling nonstop, obviously frightened. The woman in black. Brother, she actually afraid of ghosts? At this moment, she was simply beginning to doubt her life. The most frightening thing was that the image of a male god in her heart was collapsing step by step, shattering into pieces, until it turned into ashes. What male god? It was all fleeting clouds. It's just a bell. The woman looked expressionlessly at the little white rabbit in her arms. Bell, bell sound, scared, scare me to death, sob, sob, sob. After a long while, the woman finally brought Ningxi to one of the rooms upstairs. It was just a few short steps, but Ningxi felt like she had gone through 81 hardships. The woman in black originally thought that Ningxi was deliberately stalling for time, but then she found that her forehead was covered with fine beads of sweat. It seemed that she was really very scared, and it was definitely not an act. Until now, the woman in black had yet to recover from the shock of the Prince Charming's disillusionment. Seeing that the woman turned to leave after taking her to this room, Ningxi immediately chased after her nervously and stopped in front of her. Where are you going? Please wait a moment. So you want to leave me here alone? No, don't go. What am I supposed to wait for? Can't you wait with me? Aren't you afraid that I'll sneak away? My mission ends here. No matter how Ningxi begged, the other party still left heartlessly. Fuck, let's see if you can still leave so easily after I change into men's clothes. Chapter 1039. The woman's footsteps got further and further away until they disappeared. The entire house was silent, and not a single sound could be heard. Every time she moved her body, that extremely subtle sound would be magnified infinitely and played back in her ears in horror. It was already so scary when they were together. Being alone was simply torture to her. Ningxi took a deep breath and recited from the Great Compassion Mantra to the Heart Cleansing Mantra to the Diamond Sutra, all the way to the core values of socialism. She then looked around the room to distract herself. There was only a white candle lit on the dressing table in this room, and the light was even dimmer. She could vaguely see that the overall style of the room was the same as the outside. The only difference was that it was more eerie and scary. Moreover, she realized that this room was very big. From the structure and layout, it should be the master bedroom. Master bedroom. Thinking of this, Ningxi, who was originally standing at the door, jumped away from the door and hid in a corner far away. Didn't the legendary woman who committed suicide hang herself at the door of the master bedroom? On the beam where she was just standing. She finally knew their conspiracy. They were prepared to scare her to death. Some things could not be overcome in a lifetime, such as Ningxi's fear of ghosts. When she was still with her adoptive parents, her grandmother valued boys over girls and tried to throw her away many times. One of them was to bring her to a mass grave and leave her alone. She stayed there alone for 2 days and 2 nights. She still did not dare to recall the situation at that time. This also caused her to be very afraid of ghosts even after she grew up. Even though she knew that it was just an illusory thing, she could not overcome it. She also never watched any movies related to ghosts. Ningxi took a deep breath, calmed her mind, and tried to untie the rope on her wrist. Unfortunately, the other party used a professional method to tie the rope, and the material of the rope was also very special, so she couldn't untie it at all. She dragged her weak legs around the room and looked around. The only door and window were all tightly sealed. Through the mirror on the dressing table, Ningxi saw a pale face. It was her, like a funerary object buried deep in a gloomy and terrible grave. Ningxi's face was pale and pale. Now she did not even have the energy to think about Feng Jin's intention of locking her here. In the entire room, the only place that made her feel better was probably the bed. Ningxi's legs were so weak that she couldn't even walk. She slowly moved to the bed, then hugged a pillow and curled up into a ball. Time ticked by. Not a single person came. There was not a single sound. It was so quiet that it was as if she was the only living person left in the world, until even the candles on the dressing table burned out, extinguished. The room darkened. The taut thread in Ningxi's body seemed to break. The thing that she had suppressed in the deepest part of her mind surged out like a ferocious beast in the darkness. The little girl's hand was released mercilessly. She waited and waited, but all she heard was the terrifying cries of wild beasts coming from the forest. She ran and ran, but she suddenly tripped. When she looked down, she saw a white leg bone. She was lost in the forest full of graves. She waited from night to day and from day to night. She waited for a long time, but there was no one. Chapter 1040. Following that, the scene in her mind changed again, switching to a sunny afternoon. There was an ear-piercing sound of a car engine, and she felt a piercing pain in her abdomen. Her child blood, his pupils, and his mind were filled with the color of blood. Child. My child. Dead. Your child is dead. He was born a dead baby. So what if he's not dead? Do you still want to raise this bastard? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Just a moment ago, he was mischievously moving in my palm. Not a bastard. He's not a bastard. Her child is not a bastard. From a moment she knew of his existence, she had been looking forward to his birth with love and hope. He's her child. He's her baby. Give me back my baby. Give me back. The woman's mournful voice kept echoing in her mind. She knew that it was her own voice. Finally, the next second, she finally saw the child, finally saw her baby. In the cold moor, a small, purplish baby who was no longer breathing. Her child, her baby is dead. He's really dead. Creak. In the deathly stillness of the graveyard, there was a sudden soft sound. It was the sound of a locked door being pushed open. Accompanied by the sound of leather shoes stepping on the floor, a slender figure pushed open the door and walked in. The man held a candle in his fair hand. Under the hazy candlelight, his beautiful face was illuminated. His light gray eyes, coupled with his silver hair, made him look like a ghost. The man walked step by step towards the bed in the room, approaching the dark shadow curled up at the head of the bed. Finally, the man stood in front of the bed, the candle in his hand illuminating the small shadow on the bed. There was a girl on the bed, hugging a pillow in her arms. Her whole body was drenched in sweat, and the bangs on her forehead were dripping with sweat as her body trembled. No, don't, child, don't. The girl's mind seemed to be in a trance. Only when she sensed the approaching light and the approaching footsteps of a man did she finally slowly raise her head. Using her pair of dark eyes, she stared blankly at the approaching man. Tisk, you're still as useless as before. In the gloomy and terrifying air, the man's faint mocking voice rang out. She stared blankly at the person who came, still maintaining her original posture, did not move, did not speak, as if she had not recovered from the nightmare. At this moment, the girl was wearing furry pajamas, hugging a white pillow as she curled up at the head of the bed. Her body was shaking like a sieve, and she was staring at him with reddened eyes. The tear-stained look at the corners of her eyes was it was too good at stirring up the darkness in people's hearts. The man's gaze became darker and darker. Then, he slowly stretched out his hand towards the girl. That fair hand, so fair that even the meridians could be seen, slowly touched the girl's lips in the next second. The man felt a sharp pain in his palm. Before he could get close, the girl had already fiercely bit down. Bright red blood flowed down the corner of the girl's mouth and the back of the man's hand. The man's expression changed abruptly. Pinching the girl's chin, he took out his own hand and pressed the girl onto the bed. His expression was frightening. and his tone was incomparably dangerous. Ah, who are you protecting your virginity for? Hmm. Chapter 1041. Yinshen, what do you want? Ning, she finally came to her senses and asked the man. The man looked at his bloody hand, stuck out his tongue, and licked away the blood on his hand bit by bit. His eyes gradually turned scarlet, and he stared at her like a devil. He lowered his voice and said in her ear, I didn't want to do anything, but now. His tone made Ningxi's hair stand on end. I've already told you everything clearly. You saved my life once, and I've sacrificed myself for you countless times over the past 4 years. I don't owe you anything. Let's go our separate ways. What's wrong with you going your own way and me going mine? The man chuckled and pinched her chin. Huh, you don't owe me anything? My dear, not to mention that you're not dead. Even if you're dead and turn into ashes, you're still mine. If I go to hell, you'll go with me. This pervert. The man's expression was getting crazier and crazier, and he was on the verge of losing control. Not only was Ningxi tied up, but her body was also weak. She couldn't move at all, so she could only close her eyes and shout, You can't force yourself to do this. What's the point of doing this? Who said I like to eat melons? Ningxi choked. You, even if you have my body, you can't have my heart. The man raised his eyebrows and twirled a strand of her hair. I only want your body. Who wants your heart? Fuck. Why didn't he play by the rules when she was almost scared to death just now? She had been praying for someone to come quickly. Someone alive, as long as it was a living person. But now, looking at the guy in front of her, she might as well see a ghost. She must have prayed in the wrong way. Wait. Don't you want to know why you chose Lu Tingxiao? Ning, she shouted again. Hearing this, the man's movements paused. His narrowed eyes were filled with a cold light. He looked at her with a smile that was not a smile and said, Tell me about it. Ning, she swallowed and heaved a sigh of relief. Perhaps it was because of the mention of Lu Tingxiao. The girl's expression seemed to soften and relax a little. It was something he had never seen before. The softness stimulated the violent genes in his body. Ning, she closed her eyes and said slowly, Yinshen, you know a lot about me. Whether it was when I was with my adoptive parents in the countryside, when I was taken back to the Ning family at the age of 18, or when I was abroad for 4 years, I had never been myself before I met Lu Tingxiao. Because I was afraid of being abandoned and sent away, I tried my best to please my adoptive parents and grandma. Because I was afraid of being hated and ostracized, I tried my best to please my biological parents and those celebrities. Because I liked him, I gave up everything to please Su Yan. In order to survive, I even buried myself. Speaking of this, Ning, she recalled her wandering years abroad, and a cold smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. But then, the coldness slowly melted. After returning home, at the beginning of the 4 years of darkness, the hatred of revenge, I was still muddle-headed for a time. Until I met that person. I met Lu Tingxiao. No one has ever treated me so well. He loved me, protected me, and doted on me. He was always suppressing and hurting himself in silence. He never forced me to do anything. I was only myself in front of him. Chapter 1042. Oh, that's all it takes to make you fall in love with him. The man's tone was full of sarcasm and disdain. He looked at Ning, as if she was a silly woman who had been blinded by love. Ning, she took a deep breath and asked, Okay, let me ask you, if you walked into a room and saw the person you like was drugged with aphrodisiac, wearing transparent pajamas, and lying on a kg-sized bed covered with red petals, what would you do? She had asked Jiang Mai the same question before. Yinshen said, Love. Make love? Very good. This answer was very Satan, so evil. The corner of Ning, she's mouth twitched, and she rolled her eyes. But Lu Tingxiao didn't do anything. That's the difference between you two. That's why I chose him. I won't take advantage of others when I'm at my most helpless. Yinshen, you don't know what love is. The man clicked his tongue. Are you sure this is love and not sexual dysfunction? Ning, she was so angry that her liver hurt. She couldn't bear it anymore. Get lost. You're the one with sexual dysfunction. The man chuckled hoarsely. Do you want to give it a try? I'm not in the mood to play tongue twisters with you. Let me tell you, it's okay to have a low EQ. You can study hard the day after tomorrow. I can teach you a killer move now. For example, at this moment, you should learn from Lu Tingxiao and be a gentleman to untie me and let me go. Ningxi said patiently. The man snorted and said, I never walk the path that others have walked. Ningxi was so angry that she almost broke her front teeth. Damn, her brain cells were all dead and her mouth was almost dry. Why didn't this bastard listen to her? Anything else you want to say? The man held his head and asked with interest as he watched her collapse. Ningxi said, Damn you. Talking to this fellow was a waste of energy, playing the lute to a cow. The man raised his eyebrows. Scolding me? Ningxi, ha! The only improvement was that she finally knew that this was a scolding. Why couldn't he improve a little in other areas? Darling, I'm advising you to return to my side for your own good. But if you continue to be with him, I'm afraid you'll be sad. The man said quietly. Ningxi rolled her eyes at him. Why would I be sad? Because I'll be a widow. You? Fuck. Ningxi was so angry that her heart, liver, spleen, lungs, and kidneys hurt. She blurted out, Don't be so arrogant. I don't care what grudges you have with Lu Tingxiao. My man is not easy to deal with. Your man, Yunxin's careless expression, which was like playing with a cat, suddenly turned into an overwhelming haze. Dear, you really know how to piss me off. Looking at the man's changing face, Ningxi immediately cursed in her heart. Damn it, I shouldn't have provoked him. I was so angry with him just now that I couldn't help it. At this time, the door was suddenly pushed open from the outside. Outside the door, Tang Yi looked like he was facing a formidable enemy. He stood there with a stern expression. When he saw Ningxi standing there, he revealed an expression that said as expected. He then turned to look at Cloudy Gorge. Satan, we're surrounded by Lu Tingxiao's men. As soon as Tang Yi finished speaking, there was a cloud of dust outside the window. The trees and weeds shook violently, and there was a loud roar of propellers. Chapter 1043. You came so fast. Just in time. I miss him so much too. The silver-haired man looked at the roaring private armed helicopters outside the window and snorted coldly. His eyes were filled with almost morbid excitement, and then he walked straight out of the door, completely throwing Ningxi to the back of his mind. Tang Yi also followed him. Before leaving, he turned to look at Ningxi with an indescribable look in his eyes. He had heard that Lu Tingxiao had a private armed force, but just for a woman, he dared to use his private armed force directly under the feet of the emperor. Hey, don't go. Eldest senior brother, don't go. If you want to keep me locked up, just keep me locked up, but at least let a girl in to accompany me. You know that I'm afraid of ghosts. Before Ningxi finished her words, the door was closed again with a bang. These beasts, especially Yunxin. Damn it. As soon as he heard that Lu Tingxiao was here, he ran so fast and left me in this damn place. You two should just go and live your lives. She didn't know if it was because Lu Tingxiao was here. Although she was the only one left in the room at the moment, she inexplicably seemed to be not afraid anymore. She hurriedly ran to the floor-to-ceiling window, leaned against the window, and looked outside. Unfortunately, the light was too dim. She could only see a lot of helicopters hovering above her head. She couldn't see the specific situation at all, let alone where Lu Tingxiao was. No, she had to find a way out. What if Feng Jin came up with a bad idea again? Thinking of this, Ningxi hurriedly searched the room again, but after a long time, she really couldn't find anything suitable. She couldn't lift anything that was too big for her hands now, because her hands were tied, so she could only hit the window hard, trying to break it. However, she didn't know what material the window was made of. It was so hard that her bones almost broke, but it didn't move at all. At the same time, in a courtyard overgrown with weeds downstairs, among the helicopters hovering above her head, one of them slowly landed on the ground and then stopped in an open space in the middle. First, a group of heavily armed men quickly walked down from the helicopter. Finally, a man in a black suit with a cold expression walked down from the helicopter. From the middle of the armed formation, he walked step by step towards the eerie house in the middle. At this moment, the people in front of the haunted house were also fully armed. In the short period of time that they discovered that Lu Tingxiao had surrounded them, more than 10 people had gathered in front of the house. However, compared to Lu Tingxiao's serious attitude, the people on the haunted house's side were relaxed. The door to the haunted house opened, and a silver-haired man walked out. After seeing the silver-haired man, the people who were leaning casually suddenly became more solemn. Their attitudes were also very respectful, and they took the initiative to make a path for him. 2 men, one as cold as ice and the other as evil as a ghost, walked towards each other step by step. As the two of them walked, the subordinates on both sides looked nervous, ready to fight at any time. Finally, the two stopped 10 steps away from each other. Their eyes met in the air with a boom, as if they had collided into each other. The silver-haired man curled his lips, and his scarlet eyes were spreading flames. He faintly looked at the man not far away from him, and the bloodthirst on his face became even stronger. "We meet again." Chapter 1044. Lu Tingxiao said, "Hand her over." The silver-haired man held his forehead as if he had just heard a funny joke. He laughed hoarsely. "You intruded into my territory and asked me to hand her over. Boss Lu, you're funny." Lu Tingxiao looked at the time on his watch expressionlessly. 3 minutes. What he meant was obvious. He was giving him 3 minutes to hand her over. Once he was done with the formalities, he would ask for the troops. When the silver-haired man heard this, a strange smile suddenly appeared on his face. Then he raised his eyebrows and said slowly, "Lu Tingxiao, when she was at her lowest, most miserable, most desperate, and most painful time, I took her in and taught her all the survival skills and methods to protect herself. She and I belong to the same world. The world is so big, but in the end, she will still understand that this is the place that truly belongs to her." The moment the silver-haired man finished speaking, Lu Tingxiao's expression darkened. The murderous aura around him intensified, and he looked like a ghost. He was 100 times scarier than the ghostly man in front of him. Even Lu Tingxiao's subordinates looked at each other in dismay. As the night deepened, the thick ink-colored clouds above slowly covered the last trace of the moon's afterglow. Darkness covered the sky and covered the earth. After some time, Lu Tingxiao's murderous expression instantly turned calm. He looked at the silver-haired man in front of him expressionlessly. 2 minutes. At the same time, the subordinates of both sides raised their guns. The snipers in the distance aimed at each other's men. Everyone tensed up, ready to fire at any moment. The atmosphere was on the verge of exploding in a corner not far away. Feng Xiaoxiao wiped her sweat with difficulty. "They're going to fight." Annie, who was beside her, was panicking. "What do we do? What do we do? They're not really going to fight, are they?" "Sister Xiaoxiao, I just asked around. So Advisor Feng got his men to kidnap Brother Shi as well." "How could Advisor Feng do this?" "To be honest, I didn't expect old Feng to be so simple and violent this time." "What's he trying to do?" Feng Xiaoxiao looked doubtful. Tang Ye's cold voice came from the side. "Feng Jin's biggest taboo is having someone or something beyond his control affect Satan's judgment. For a man, a woman who can make him lose control is nothing more than getting what he wants. So old Feng is going to solve the problem at the source? Holy shit. Was Satan really going to take the opportunity to imprison little junior sister? You have to realize that this haunted house is like little junior sister's sealing technique. Little junior sister is most afraid of ghosts, so she'll definitely lose all of her battle prowess once she enters this place. Furthermore, her battle prowess isn't that high to begin with. Feng Xiaoxiao's lips twitched. Annie tensed up and muttered hesitantly, "I don't think Big Boss would do such a thing. Although Big Boss looks like a bad person and has a bad mouth, he is actually very good to his people. Just like how Big Boss always said that he would throw me into the sea to feed the fishes, but he never really did it." "Ugh, your analogy. What a naive child." Feng Xiaoxiao patted Annie's head speechlessly. Afterwards, Feng Xiaoxiao looked at the two people who were about to fight and murmured, "Is that really the only reason old Feng is doing this? Why do I feel like old Feng is deliberately stirring up trouble?" Chapter 1045. Apart from that, the biggest reason for today's incident was that they finally got to see Lu Tingxiao's legendary underground force. Although this was only the tip of the iceberg, they could already foresee the colossus hidden under the iceberg. It was not inferior to their organization. "We can't let this go on. I'll go and save Brother Shi. Only Brother Shi can stop them now," Annie said anxiously. Feng Xiaoxiao grabbed Annie, who was about to run away. "What are you going to do? What can you do even if you go? You're so weak that you can't even open a door. Just stay here. I'll go." "But what if boss blames me?" Annie said worriedly. "You're his direct subordinates, so you can't go. Although I'm also a member of the organization, it's just a part-time job. At least I have the original sin to back me up. Don't worry," Feng Xiaoxiao said and quickly ran into the house. The original sin was the world's largest assassin organization. Feng Xiaoxiao was loyal to the organization and was also a core member of the original sin. Tang Yi didn't stop Feng Xiaoxiao when he saw that she was going to save Brother Shi. He turned a blind eye to it. In the creepiest master bedroom on the second floor, when Feng Xiaoxiao unlocked the door with an iron wire and walked in, Ningxi was still fighting against the glass window in front of her. The little girl was holding a sharp animal bone in her hand and poking it at the window. At this time, a force suddenly attacked her from behind, grabbing the two rabbit ears on the back of her clothes and pulling her away from the window. Then, she saw a black boot kicking at her. In the next second, with a loud bang, the window shattered. Ningxi stared blankly at the window that she had been fighting for half a day without moving. Tears streamed down her face. "Ouch! Third senior sister, you're finally here. Useless thing." Feng Xiaoxiao rolled her eyes at the girl, speechlessly. She took out a dagger and untied the rope on Ningxi's hand. "I've already reminded you last time. Why are you getting weaker and weaker now?" Ningxi pouted and mumbled, "That means that I'm living a carefree life, happy and sweet." The veins on Feng Xiaoxiao's forehead throbbed. "How dare you stuff me with dog food? Believe it or not, I will kick you to death. Shiji, you're the one who can't bear to." Ningxi hopped over and hugged her, rubbing her chest. Feng Xiaoxiao looked at Ningxi's adorable, innocent, and lively appearance. She closed her eyes and revealed a pitiful expression. "No wonder Shirlu has been looking like he has nothing left to live for. He must have been disillusioned by your current appearance." Ningxi blinked. "Shirlu? Who is Shirlu?" "Code 16, the woman who kidnapped you," Feng Xiaoxiao replied. Oh, she today probably a little disillusioned, cough, cough. She wiped her sweat. "I think this woman used to have a crush on you. She was probably the one who fought for Feng Jin's mission. She wanted to take the opportunity to get close to Adonis, but in the end, TSK, TSK, TSK. Feng Xiaoxiao said with a really tragic expression. She muttered speechlessly. "You're blaming me? Who asked her to kidnap me and leave me alone in the haunted house? I was almost scared to death. This is retribution." Chapter 1046. All right, that's enough. Go downstairs and find your man. They're about to start fighting. This is China, and it's under the emperor's feet. It's not a foreign country. It won't do either of them any good if they fight. Feng Xiaoxiao urged. Oh. Third senior sister, I'm leaving. Let's have a drink next time. She climbed onto the windowsill. Feng Xiaoxiao glanced at her worriedly. Can you do it? Why don't you take the stairs? That's so troublesome. Senior sister, can you stop looking down on my strength? It's only the third floor. She said as she climbed down the pipe speechlessly. Feng Xiaoxiao, who told you to be spoiled like a little white rabbit? How can I not worry? But damn it, as a woman, she was a little envious. After all, she had been fighting and killing for so many years, and she had experienced more terrifying things than Ningxi. Of course, she was also less trusting than Ningxi men. She would never fall in love with such creatures. On the other side, Ningxi soon realized that she would suffer if she didn't listen to her senior sister. Halfway up, Ningxi's legs were still a little weak, so she fell down with a plop and let out a cry of ouch. In an instant, all the tensed gazes turned towards the foot of the wall. Then, everyone saw a cute girl crawl up from the grass and spit out a mouthful of grass. Her little face was scrunched up, and she was muttering something. Where did this rabbit come from? A man muttered in the crowd on Yunshin's side. Fuck, big news. There's a woman in Boss's room, and it's a tender, underage one. Oh my god, Boss is into this. The commotion in the crowd grew, and the expressions on their faces became more and more strange. Then, a cold female voice rang out. That's Xianxia. Hearing Shirlio's words, everyone was speechless. Are you fucking kidding me? After seeing Ningxi, Lu Tingxiao's expression changed instantly. All he could see was his wife. Yunshin glanced at Feng Xiaoxiao, who was standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window upstairs like an ice blade. Then, he looked at Ningxi and said coldly, "Come here." Ningxi curled her lips and patted off the dust and grass on her body. Although she didn't speak, her expression was obvious. Why would I go to your place to die? Ah, great Demon King. After getting up and seeing the familiar figure not far away, Ningxi's gaze instantly turned to Lu Tingxiao with joy. This contrast in attitude was too obvious. At this moment, the three of them formed a triangle. Lu Tingxiao and Yunshin stood opposite each other 10 steps away, while Ningxi stood between them and under the wall not far away. Just as Ningxi was about to run towards Lu Tingxiao without hesitation, an extremely gloomy voice rang in her ears. I'll give you one last chance. Think carefully before you make a decision. Decide who to follow. The extremely gloomy voice made Ningxi freeze on the spot. She raised her head, looked at Lu Tingxiao with a cold face, and then looked at Yunshin with a gloomy face. What to do? She wasn't struggling with the question of who to choose, because she didn't need to think about it at all. What if she went to Lu Tingxiao's place, and Yunshin got angry out of humiliation? Chapter 1047. This guy was a lunatic. Once he went crazy, he would do things regardless of the consequences. Even if this was the doorstep of the Emperor of Heaven, he would still dare to blow it up. Although this was a desolate suburb, it was still the territory of the capital after all. There were guns and cannons here. Once they made a noise, it would definitely alarm the people above. Even if Lu Tingxiao was the uncrowned king, the people above would turn a blind eye to him. But this was under the condition that both sides got along peacefully and mutually benefited each other. However, if he made such a big fuss under their noses and slapped their faces, how could the people above not be angry? Looking at the armed forces on Lu Tingxiao's side, which were even more terrifying than the regular army, Ningxi was shocked. She didn't expect that Lu Tingxiao would go to this extent and take such a big risk for her. Just as Ningxi was weighing and analyzing the pros and cons, there was a dead silence on the scene, and the two men's faces became more and more gloomy. Especially Lu Tingxiao. Although he had the upper hand just now because of his identity as Ningxi's ex-boyfriend, Yunshin's words still hit the cage of the giant beast in his heart. As for Yunshin, he knew Ningxi too well after getting along with her for 4 years. At a glance, he knew what she was thinking and worried about at this moment. So he looked so gloomy. At this moment, a murderous aura suddenly came from not far away. In the crowd, a middle-aged man in a Chinese tunic suit suddenly appeared. A black muzzle in his hand suddenly pointed at Ningxi and instantly pressed the trigger. No one had time to notice it. The next second, bang, a gunshot rang out. Almost at the same time, another gunshot rang out. The first one was from Feng Jin, and the second one was from Yunshin. Everyone stared at the scene in shock. Even Feng Xiaoxiao, Tang Yi, Annie, and the rest did not expect Feng Jin to suddenly shoot. The cold air around the silver-haired man was overwhelming and confined Feng Jin. The latter was covered with cold sweat and covered his bleeding wrist. Just now, he had shot at Ningxi, but because his wrist was shot by Yunshin, he missed the target. It seems that I have to deal with the family affairs first. Yunshin raised his hand with a horrified expression. Immediately, All his subordinates put away their weapons and retreated like a tide. Seeing the other side suddenly retreat, Lu Tingxiao's side also relaxed. Then, they looked at Lu Tingxiao, waiting for instructions. Lu Tingxiao glanced coldly at the middle-aged man. After a while, he also raised his hand. In an instant, everyone on Lu Tingxiao's side retracted their weapons and retreated. The tense atmosphere of the night finally eased up. Seeing that the crisis was over, Ningxi hurriedly ran towards Lu Tingxiao. Seeing the girl running towards him step by step, Lu Tingxiao felt as if he had been redeemed from hell. She was walking towards him because she fell down halfway and rolled on the ground in the bushes that hadn't been cleaned for a long time. Ningxi's clothes were already covered in dust, and the fluff on her clothes and hair were covered in weeds. She had completely changed from a little white rabbit to a little wild rabbit. However, the moment the girl threw herself into the man's arms and raised her little head with her eyes full of attachment, he knew that no matter how wild she was outside, she still belonged to someone. The moment the warm and soft body pounced on him, Lu Tingxiao instantly tightened his arms, and the empty heart that was whistling with cold wind was instantly filled. Chapter 1048. The silver-haired man's face was as cold as ice as he watched Ningxi run towards Lu Tingxiao, and the two of them hugging each other. Feng Jin clutched his injured wrist as he walked towards the man. He took the opportunity to say, "Satan, Tang, she would have stayed if she knew what's good for her. However, she's ungrateful and ungrateful. She doesn't respect you at all. Why do you?" The man glanced at him coldly. "I like it when she's ungrateful and ungrateful. Do you have a problem with that?" Feng Jin, seeing that Lu Tingxiao had already left with his men, Feng Jin gritted his teeth. His face was livid. "Satan, that woman will destroy you." "Heh, a woman can destroy me. Why don't you take over my position?" The man's face was filled with murderous intent. Feng Jin lowered his head. "I wouldn't dare." The man snorted. "I'm doing this for Uncle Qiao's sake. If there's a next time, you'll go back to where you came from." Hearing this, Feng Jin's face turned pale. He thought that Satan would make a move after witnessing the woman's betrayal. Who knew that wouldn't work? He couldn't let this woman live. "Aye, yes." The man glanced at Feng Jin's pale face from the corner of his eye. He lazily adjusted his cuffs and said, "Spread the word. If anyone dares to touch a single hair on Tang Shi, I'll break all their bones." "Tang Yi, yes." Feng Jin froze on the spot, not daring to say a word. The man narrowed his eyes and looked at the helicopter disappearing into the night sky. Then he opened his hand. In his hand was a small fluffy white ball that had fallen from the girl's clothes. It lay alone in his palm. Lu Tingxiao didn't board the helicopter that they had boarded. Instead, he brought Ningxi to another small helicopter. Apart from her and Lu Tingxiao, there was only the pilot on the helicopter. Almost as soon as the door closed, Ningxi was engulfed in a blanket of kisses. The man's broad palm held her waist tightly, as though he wanted to melt her into his flesh and blood. His other hand pressed against the back of the girl's head as he kissed her lips forcefully. She felt a sharp pain on her tongue. At that moment, Ningxi thought of, "Boss, if you do this, we won't die, will we?" How is the pilot supposed to focus on flying the plane? The pilot, who was flying the plane in front, expressed that he might have encountered the biggest challenge of his career. Moreover, the boss in the back seat didn't seem to have any intention of stopping. Instead, it was getting more and more intense. This isn't going to be a shock, right? Even if he was a professionally trained driver with 8 years of driving experience, he still couldn't resist such a blood-boiling live version. At the same time, Lu Tingxiao's movements became even more out of control, probably because he noticed that the girl was distracted. He didn't know how much restraint he had to use to stop himself from doing things that would hurt her. But even so, the smell of blood quickly spread in their mouths. At this moment, Lu Tingxiao's entire body was filled with dark negative factors. It was terrifying. However, Ningxi was not afraid at all. Instead, she took the initiative to wrap her arms around the man's neck and kiss him. Her fingers gently stroked his back. She even pushed against the man's chest and pressed him under her body. She lowered her head and put the bunny ear hat on her head. She didn't even have time to take it off. She leaned over and kissed the man's lips. The fear that had been suppressed in the haunted house for a long time was now all poured into this kiss. The man used one hand to steady the girl's body to prevent her from falling and responded to the girl's kiss even more passionately. The pilot in front looked at the two people behind him who were riding on top of each other. One was dressed in a meticulous black suit. The other was dressed in a cute and soft cartoon bunny costume. This was really terrible. Chapter 1049. This kiss lasted for a long time. It went from wild and violent to passionate to tender and affectionate. Neither of them was willing to let go. In the end, it was Xianxia who asked him to stop. She pushed away the man's shoulder that was about to kiss her again. Okay, if we continue, we'll really die. The pilot almost burst into tears. Only the lady boss knew how to take care of him. The man buried his head in her neck, obviously still shocked. Xianxia looked at Lu Tingxiao worriedly. This is the territory of the emperor. What happened tonight? Will it affect you? The man brushed his lips over her sensitive collarbone. Kiss me again, and it won't. Xianxia was speechless. The pilot was speechless. She couldn't do this anymore. Also, please return my noble and aloof boss to me. They took a bus halfway and arrived at the city in the wee hours of the morning. The sky was still dark. Lu Tingxiao was worried that the apartment might not be safe, so he took her to the palace. Seeing that her ankle was injured, Lu Tingxiao picked her up and carried her upstairs. Seeing that Lu Tingxiao was about to leave, Xianxia grabbed his hand. Where are you going? I'm going to get the first aid kit. Your leg needs to be treated. Oh, hurry up. Moments later, Lu Tingxiao came back with the first aid kit. When Xianxia fell down just now, there were a lot of abrasions on the exposed parts of her body. Lu Tingxiao first cleaned the wounds with alcohol and then applied medicine. Fortunately, these were just ordinary abrasions and could be treated with a little simple treatment. Looking at the red and swollen marks on her wrist, Lu Tingxiao applied some ointment for her. Are there any other injuries? Lu Tingxiao asked. Yes. Xianxia nodded. Lu Tingxiao frowned and his face darkened. Where? Xianxia pointed at her lips. Here, you bit me. Lu Tingxiao was stunned and coughed. Let me apply some ointment for you. The cool light green ointment was applied on her lips, and she felt much better. Seeing that Lu Tingxiao was about to leave after applying the ointment, Xianxia immediately grabbed his shirt. Where are you going? I'm going to get you a towel. Oh, then come back quickly. Forget it. I'll go with you. Xianxia thought for a while and followed him to the bathroom. Lu Tingxiao fetched some hot water and helped her wash her dirty little face and hands. The wounds on your body can't come in contact with water. That's all for now. Yes, yes. After a simple wipe, the two returned to the bedroom. Are you sure there are no other wounds? Lu Tingxiao asked worriedly. I really didn't. Xianxia rolled up her sleeves and pants to show him. They didn't make things difficult for me. It was an inhumane mental attack on me. Lu Tingxiao relaxed a little. Then you should change into a clean set of clothes first. You'll feel more comfortable, Lu Tingxiao said, and was about to go out to help her change her clothes. However, as soon as he turned around, Xianxia came up to him and stopped him. Where are you going? Lu Tingxiao looked at the girl suspiciously. I told you to change your clothes. Why are you going out when I'm changing? Just stay here. Xianxia was anxious. What's wrong with you? Lu Tingxiao frowned. Xianxia pursed her lips and sniffled. She moved over pitifully and hugged the man's waist tightly. I'm scared, don't go. Chapter 1050. Seeing the girl like this, Lu Tingxiao's heart ached so much that he wanted to kill someone. The air around him suddenly became cold. What did they do to you? Xianxia couldn't bear it anymore. She sobbed and complained with trembling shoulders. Bastards. They're not human. They asked me to meet anywhere but at the haunted house. You even left me waiting there alone. That house is the rumored place where the female ghost hanged herself. It's so scary. I tried my best to leave, but my whole body was weak. I had no strength at all. They must have wanted to scare me to death. It's so sinister. Lu Tingxiao, he was almost scared to death by her too, so don't go, okay? I don't dare to stay alone. What if the female ghost comes back with me? Ningxi raised her little head pitifully and begged. Lu Tingxiao pinched his eyebrows, as if relieved of a heavy burden. At the same time, he showed a helpless expression. I won't go. Oh, are you sure? Ningxi ran to open the wardrobe to find clothes to change into and turned her head to ask worriedly. I'm sure. Ningxi confirmed it several times before she changed her clothes with relief. When she was changing her clothes, she sadly found that her favorite rabbit pajamas, the cutest, round, and furry rabbit tail on them, but was not small. Ningxi mourned for her tail for a while, and then saw Lu Tingxiao standing there like a gentleman with his back turned to him, waiting for her. I'm done. Okay. Lu Tingxiao turned around and touched the girl's head. Have a good rest. Will you stay with me? How can I not stay with you? Lu Tingxiao looked at the girl and sighed. Ningxi was finally relieved. On the warm and soft bed, the girl snuggled up in the man's arms. Probably because she was really scared tonight, she fell asleep after a while. However, the girl didn't seem to sleep well. She frowned in her sleep, and her forehead was covered with cold sweat. Lu Tingxiao stayed by her side and comforted her softly. At about 6 o'clock in the morning, a series of heavy footsteps came from outside the door. Lu Tingxiao looked up and saw that it was his son. Then he raised his hand and gestured for Ningxi to keep quiet. Ningxi didn't fall asleep until 4 o'clock in the morning. Perhaps it was because little Baozi saw the unusual serious expression on his father's face, but he didn't fight for his father's favor. Instead, he laid on the edge of the bed and quietly looked at his mother. Your mother slept late last night. Don't wake her up. Lu Tingxiao lowered his voice. Little Baozi nodded obediently. He laid there and looked at his mama for a while before reluctantly leaving. He still had to go to school today, so he couldn't be late. Not long after, Little Bun returned with a writing board in his hand. On it were 2 words, share the burden. Lu Tingxiao was stunned. This child, she must have noticed that he seemed to have something on his mind, so she wanted to share his burden. The corner of Lu Tingxiao's mouth curled up slightly. When you're a little older, Xiaobao puffed up his cheeks. He had been working very hard to grow up. Recently, he had gained another 1 kilogram. Before going to school, Xiaobao ran over and gently gave Mama a goodbye kiss before leaving. Soon after Little Bun left, Lu Tingxiao quietly looked at the girl in his arms and didn't sleep. However, after a while, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. The girl's body temperature seemed to be getting higher and higher. Chapter 10:51. Because he had been hugging her, he didn't notice it immediately. He took a closer look and saw that the girl's cheeks were rosy. It wasn't a normal blush when she was sleeping. He touched her forehead, and it was indeed burning hot. Ning, she had a fever. Lu Tingxiao immediately got up and dialed Qin Mufeng's number. More than an hour later, Qin Mufeng rushed over, dragging a suitcase behind him. Sir, are you clairvoyant? I just came back from abroad, and you called me without missing a second. Qin Mufeng had gone overseas to participate in an academic exchange. When Lu Tingxiao called him, he had just gotten off the plane. The moment he turned on his phone, he received a series of urgent calls. However, he was quite happy to be called this time. Ever since he had Ningxi, the 2 of them had been fine. He felt a little guilty about getting paid for doing nothing. What's going on? Why are you rushing me so urgently? Qin Mufeng asked. Lu Tingxiao replied, fever. Qin Mufeng held his forehead. Sigh. Mr. CEO, fever is a common illness. How many times do I have to explain it to you? I thought your wife was pregnant since you were so anxious. As soon as Qin Mufeng finished speaking, he realized that he was overthinking things. With Lu Tingxiao's personality, the 2 of them probably hadn't even had sex before. Speaking of which, he was so nervous when his wife was having a fever. How nervous would he be when she was going to give birth? Qin Mufeng thought to himself as he took out the equipment from his suitcase. He did a simple check on Ningxi and took her temperature. How is she? Lu Tingxiao asked. Qin Mufeng looked at the thermometer and frowned. Why is her fever so high? I'll prescribe some medicine for her. Help her lower her body temperature. If her fever doesn't go down by tonight, she'll need a drip and an injection. Okay, don't leave. Stay here tonight, Lu Tingxiao said expressionlessly. Qin Mufeng's lips twitched. Yes, President Lu. On the bed, the girl's face was flushed and her breathing quickened. Lu Tingxiao hurriedly helped the girl up and fed her the medicine. Then he quickly found some alcohol to wipe her body and lower her body temperature. After a busy day, the girl's temperature finally stabilized a little in the evening. However, she was still unconscious. The next morning, the sun was shining brightly that day. Through the window, the room was bathed in a warm glow. The crisp chirping of birds could be heard. A few petals were blown into the room from a small garden. The air was filled with the fragrance of flowers and plants. On the bed, the girl's eyebrows were tightly knitted together, and her eyelashes kept trembling. Then, she suddenly opened her eyes, and her forehead was covered with a fine layer of sweat, as if she had just woken up from a nightmare. After opening her eyes, Ningxi's face was a little sluggish. She looked around in confusion. It was a familiar and warm bedroom. There was a bouquet of flowers in the vase at the head of the bed. Outside the window, the curtains were gently swaying in the wind. By the window, under the morning sun, the man was sitting on a chair, holding a book in his hand, but he did not flip through it. Instead, he looked out the window. Ningxi's pupils finally focused, so she was not in hell, so she was still in the human world. Sensing movement on the bed, Lu Tingxiao immediately got up and walked over. He touched the girl's forehead and said, "You're awake. How long did I sleep?" Ningxi mumbled in a daze. 2 days. So long. Ningxi held her forehead, then looked at the green stubble on the man's chin with some heartache. "Didn't you sleep all this time?" This time, the one who was the most shocked wasn't her, but Lu Tingxiao. She didn't know how Lu Tingxiao found out so quickly that she had been taken away. Could it be that there was a spy, or Feng Jin had deliberately leaked the news? Chapter 1052. I'm fine. I can sleep. How do you feel? Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? Lu Tingxiao asked. Ningxi shook her head and then looked up at the man in front of her. Lu Tingxiao, is there something on your mind? In fact, since she came back, she had felt that Lu Tingxiao seemed to have something on his mind. Just now, he seemed to be in a bad state, although he hid it well. Lu Tingxiao was taken aback at first, but then he fell silent. After coming back, although he tried his best to ignore it, the silver-haired man's words kept ringing in his mind. When she was at her lowest, most embarrassed, most desperate, and most painful time, I took her in and taught her all the survival skills and means to protect herself. She and I are people from the same world. The world is so big, but in the end, she will still understand where she really belongs, the place that really belongs to her. Although he tried to restrain and convince himself, he still couldn't deceive himself. He was jealous. Jealous of that man. Jealous of him. Jealous of their past. Jealous of the special bond between them. Lu Tingxiao's face became more and more terrible. Although he was in the sun, his whole body seemed to be frozen at a speed visible to the naked eye, layer by layer. Ningxi, will you leave me? Lu Tingxiao fixed his eyes on the girl in front of him and finally spoke. There was a determination in his eyes, as if he would lose her in the next second. However, what responded to him was the girl's warm and soft body that suddenly fell into his arms. Her warmth enveloped him and melted all the ice and snow around him. Ningxi had thought that he had a deep grudge against that person and that the sky had fallen. When she heard this, she was speechless. But seeing him like this, she felt sorry for him. So she hugged him tightly and said discontentedly and helplessly, "Why would I leave you? Why do you think I work so hard every day? Isn't it to be with you? Isn't it to make more money? Isn't it to marry you in the future? Isn't it just to stay in your world?" Being with Lu Tingxiao was probably the biggest accident in her life, and also the biggest gamble. From the very beginning, she knew that she shouldn't, but even though she knew that she shouldn't, she still fell for him. Even though she knew that she should distance herself from him, she still approached him step by step. The next second, Ningxi lifted her weak arms, flipped over, and pressed herself on the man's body. She said fiercely, "Lu Tingxiao, why are you asking this? I'm warning you. It was you who seduced me. It was you who seduced me. It was you who bewitched me. So, if one day you dare to betray me..." Ningxi fiercely threatened him, but in her heart she smiled bitterly. Even if that day came, she probably wouldn't bear to hurt him at all. Unknowingly, before she realized it, she had already been completely eaten by him. The man gazed at her intently, his pupils reflecting the entire world. "I won't betray my own life." The girl's expression changed. Her eyes were also filled with determination. "I won't either. Lu Tingxiao, I have two lives. One is when I was born, and the other is when I met you." Lu Tingxiao suddenly tightened his arms around the girl. The dense, dark clouds above their heads disappeared, and the sky was clear and boundless. Chapter 1053. The two of them snuggled up to each other in the warm spring sunshine. Although the security measures at your place are good, they can only keep out ordinary thieves and reporters. Lu Tingxiao said thoughtfully. Hearing this, Ningxi immediately said excitedly, "Oh, I'm planning to move to a new house. I calculated my current savings. It's enough to buy a nice villa. I was about to discuss this with you. Let's go look at a house together." "Okay." Lu Tingxiao nodded. "I'll keep an eye out for a suitable one. As for the security system, I'll do it myself." "Okay." Ningxi nodded. Lu Tingxiao thought for a while and still didn't feel reassured. "I'll transfer Tang Lang to your side. You need a bodyguard too." She was speechless. Second senior will be my bodyguard? From a security guard to a private bodyguard. Wasn't it getting worse and worse? Although the former was just a security guard, it was still a listed company. Lu Tingxiao said, "He needs money." Ningxi, okay. She almost forgot that second senior's card was confiscated by eldest senior. He was so short of money that he had to work as a security guard and a teacher. Anyway, he only needed money. "Oh, one more thing. I think I'll need to transfer 2 people from your side." Ningxi suddenly remembered the weapons and local products at home. "Who?" Lu Tingxiao asked. "Sure, Xiao and Xianxia. Are they okay?" Ningxi asked. "They went to look for you." Lu Tingxiao looked as if he had expected it. Ningxi coughed lightly. "Well, I'll be lenient if I get help from others." Lu Tingxiao pondered for a moment. Although he did not intend to use these 2 people again, their strength was indeed not bad. After the last incident, they were considered familiar with Ningxi. If he looked for other people, they might not necessarily be as diligent as them. Okay. Most importantly, how could he not agree to his wife's request? "Are you hungry?" Lu Tingxiao asked. Ningxi touched her deflated belly and nodded. "Yes. I'll go to the kitchen to see if dinner is ready." Yes. Illness came like a landslide, but it was like spinning silk. After sleeping for 2 days, Ningxi's body was still a little weak. She was about to go back to sleep on the pillow when the phone at the bedside suddenly rang. When she went downstairs to buy soy sauce the day before yesterday, she didn't have her phone with her. Lu Tingxiao might have brought it for her. The caller ID showed that it was Lin Zhizhi. Seeing Lin Zhizhi's name on the screen, Ningxi's face suddenly changed. It's over. Too many things had happened in the past 2 days, and her illness had made her muddle-headed. She had actually forgotten that today was the day she was supposed to film the variety show. The production crew set off for Shuha Ancient Town at 8 p.m., and it was already 7 p.m. now. By now, Ningxi was completely awake and quickly answered the call. "Hello, Sister Zhizhi. I'm really sorry. I wasn't feeling well, so I slept for 2 days. I just woke up, so I rushed over immediately. I was just about to inform you that the filming of the show has been delayed," Lin Zhizhi said. It's delayed?" Ningxi was surprised. "What's wrong with your body? Sick? Is it serious?" Lin Zhizhi asked with concern. Ningxi had always been professional. If it wasn't a very serious situation, she definitely wouldn't have forgotten that she had to film a show today. It's fine. I just have a slight fever, but I'm much better now. Are you alone at home now? I'll get Xiaota to go over and take care of you? Lin Zhizhi asked. Chapter 1054. No need for that. I'm at my friend's house. He'll take care of me. Ning, she said hurriedly. Well, if anything happens, you must tell me immediately. If it's serious, you must go to the hospital. Lin Zhizhi urged. Okay. Then have a good rest. I don't know when Baby Meng will start recording. When you recover, I'll temporarily help you change to a gourmet program called Beauty's Private Kitchen. It'll be filmed locally in the capital. It'll only take an afternoon. It's very relaxing. Okay, thank you, Sister Zhizhi. After hanging up the phone, Ningxi's tense nerves suddenly relaxed. She lay back on the bed and comfortably rubbed against the soft and fluffy pillow. Although it shouldn't be, suddenly hearing the news that she didn't have to work when she was sick and wanted to stay in bed was actually quite cool. At this time, the door was pushed open with a creak. It was Little Bao who came in. Seeing Little Bao, Ningxi's eyes suddenly lit up. Bao. Before she finished speaking, Little Bao actually slammed the door, and then came the sound of footsteps going downstairs. Ning, she scratched her head in confusion. What's going on, my Bao? Not long after, there was another sound of footsteps going up the stairs. The little fellow pushed the door open again and came in, carefully holding a bowl of porridge in his hand. He walked to her bed, carefully scooped a spoonful of porridge, blew on it, and then brought it to Mama's mouth. It turned out that he went downstairs to bring breakfast for himself. Ning, she was so touched that she almost wanted to hug him and rub him, but she resisted, afraid that she would pass the illness to him. So she said softly, Baby, you're so considerate, but Mama is sick now, and I'm afraid I'll infect you. Let your father feed me, okay? Little Bao steadily held the spoon, his eyes firm. Baby is not afraid of illness. Baby has to take care of Mama. At this time, Lu Tingxiao pushed the door open and came in with some appetizers. He said, Boys aren't so fragile. Let him feed you. Ningxi was also afraid that Little Bao's hands would get sore, so she hurriedly ate the porridge. Oh, my Bao is really delicious. Little Bun stood by the bed, feeding Ningxi porridge. Lu Tingxiao sat by the bed, holding an apple in his hand and slowly peeling it. When Lu Jingli and Jiangmai came in, they saw a warm and beautiful family of 3. Sister-in-law, are you feeling better? I thought it would be too tacky to give you flowers, so I picked some vegetables from my yard for you. Lu Jingli was really carrying a basket of vegetables in his hand. Jiangmai, who was holding a bunch of tacky flowers, was speechless. Jiangmai glanced at Lu Jingli speechlessly. Then he put a bunch of fresh flowers on the table. Looking at Ningxi's pale face, he murmured, I didn't expect that you would get sick. Ningxi was speechless. Humans get sick. Am I not a human? Jiangmai replied, Sometimes I'm not. Sister-in-law, what's going on? You're as strong as an ox. How did you suddenly become so ill? Lu Jingli asked suspiciously. As strong as an ox, Lu Jingli. He had just come in for a while, and he had already offended 2 people. Ning, she glared at him. Can't I just be a little frightened? Damn. Sister-in-law, you're kidding me. What kind of frightened you so much that you got sick? Lu Jingli obviously didn't believe her. Ning, she ignored him. She would rather maintain her image as strong as an ox than reveal that she was afraid of ghosts. Also, she decided she would go to the next hard drive and watch a horror movie until she was no longer afraid. Chapter 1055. Just as the room was filled with laughter, there was a weak knock on the door. Standing at the door was Lu Xinyan. Ning, she was a little surprised to see her. Noticing Ningxi's gaze, Lu Xinyan seemed to be a little uncomfortable. She coughed lightly and said with a righteous expression, I'm here to see Xiao Bao. I heard that you're sick, so I came to see you. These tonics are also gifts. You can take them. Lu Jingli and Jiangmai were still surprised to see Lu Xinyan come see Ningxi, although she said it was just a convenience. They didn't know what had happened on the mountain. They only knew that Lu Xinyan didn't like Ning Shi, especially Lu Jingli, who had been caught by Lu Xinyan and talked about many times. Every time, she told him how Ning Shi had bewitched his brother and that Guan Ziao was the best match for his brother. Obviously, he was Guan Ziao's diehard fan and swore to destroy Ning Shi's cult. But now, she took the initiative to see Ning Shi and even brought her tonics. It was as if the sun had risen from the west. Could it be that little Cece had shamelessly flirted with a girl again? Thank you. Ning Shi looked at the things that Lu Xinyan had brought. It was obvious that she had specially chosen them to see her, but she didn't expose it. She just thanked her. Xiao Bao, come here, Annie brought you a toy. In order to cover up her embarrassment, Lu Xinyan hurried to find Xiao Bao. Ning Shi found that Lu Xinyan didn't look very well, so she asked casually, "Why are your dark circles so heavy?" Lu Xinyan immediately touched her eyes subconsciously and muttered with some complaint, "It's all your fault." This conversation, Lu Jingli inexplicably felt that his thoughts were going astray. Huh? Ning Shi was puzzled. "You won't let me pass the agency qualification, so I have to make a new plan." Lu Xinyan took out a small mirror and looked at her face with distress. Ning Shi was obviously a little surprised to hear that. She didn't expect that Lu Xinyan still hadn't given up. Although she couldn't bear to hurt her, she didn't want her to continue to do useless work. So Ning, she said, "But the quota for our 5 agencies in the capital is full. There were originally 2 more, but they have already signed contracts with others." "What? Gone? Both of them are gone?" Lu Xinyan was dumbfounded. "Yes, they're all gone." Ning Shi confirmed the bad news. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Xinyan's little face froze. A moment later, she exclaimed in disbelief, "How could this be? I stayed up for a whole week and sacrificed a whole week of beauty sleep to redo the project. I've never worked so hard in my life. In the end, you're telling me that all my efforts were in vain?" Ning Shi pinched her brows and looked at the girl in front of her helplessly. "Don't you know the situation before you do anything? I didn't know it would be signed so soon." Lu Xinyan's tone was obviously a little guilty. Ning Shi, she finally understood why this girl always suffered losses when she did business. Lu Xinyan stared at Ning Shi and said anxiously, "I don't care. You were the one who said that as long as I could show a serious attitude and sufficient sincerity, the door of Ziling would always be open for me. You can't go back on your word. Besides, I've already called you my sister-in-law. Can't you even make an exception for such a small matter?" Chapter 1056. Sister-in-law? Lu Jingli, Jiang Mai, the 2 people who didn't know were shocked again, especially Lu Jingli. This girl actually called Ning Shi's sister-in-law? When did this happen? How much gossip had he missed? It was so sad. Hearing Lu Xinyan's words, Ning Shi blinked and said, "Oh, then you'd better take back the word sister-in-law. How can you do this?" Lu Xinyan stamped her feet in anger. Ning Shi spread out her hands and said, "The problem is that it's useless to call me sister-in-law this time. My side has already signed a contract. The goods have all been delivered, and the storefront is being renovated. There's a first-come, first-served rule. Even if your plan this time is really good, I can't open the back door." Lu Xinyan lowered her head and stood there like a frosted eggplant. Is there really no other way? Ning Shi looked at Lu Tingxiao subconsciously. "Boss, do you have any idea?" Lu Xinyan hurriedly looked at Lu Tingxiao. But her cousin still blamed her for what had happened last time. How could he help her, since it was his wife who asked? Lu Tingxiao told her everything he knew. A new large comprehensive shopping mall is about to open in the west of the city. We can set up a physical store there. That short sentence instantly solved all the problems. Boss was indeed a great man. Lu Xinyan's eyes lit up. Really? Then I'll contact the people about the store. This time, no one is allowed to compete with me. I was the first one to find it. Ning Shi chuckled. Yes, you found it. I'll keep it for you. That's what you said. You have to keep your word. I'm going to settle the store first. Lu Xinyan said, stuffed the bags of toys into Xiaobao's arms, and then ran away like a gust of wind. Behind her, Lu Jingli clicked his tongue. Cece, how on earth did you train her? Xianxia, that lass, has been slacking off all day long. She has a short-lived passion for everything. I've never seen her so concerned about anything before. She's like a different person. Ningxi rolled her eyes at him and said slowly, every girl has her cute side. It just depends on whether she's willing to show it to you. That makes sense. Lu Jingli looked like he had learned something. Oh, by the way, Jiang Mai, Sister Gigi arranged a gourmet program for me. It called Beauty's Private Kitchen. I didn't pay much attention to it before. Have you heard of it? Ningxi asked. Lin Gigi probably knew that she was good at cooking, so she chose this show for her. In addition, her image was also suitable for the show. Ningxi's motto was not to let go of any opportunity, so no matter what job she did, she had to do her best. A culinary show. Before Jiang Mai could say anything, Lu Jingli's eyes lit up like a light bulb. He blurted out, "What about your props?" "What prop?" Ningxi was confused. "It's the dishes you cooked," Lu Jingli hurriedly explained. She was speechless. How would I know how to deal with it? I watched other food shows. If the food is bad, they'll throw it away. If it's okay, they'll probably share it with the staff. As for my program, I don't know the process yet, so I asked Jiang Mai. Chapter 10:57. Lu Jingli said righteously, "What do you mean by staff? Do the staff need food from you? Bring it back for me to eat. Besides, the show only has one guest per episode, and it's a permanent guest. How about I help you become a permanent guest? I'll let you go on every episode, as long as you bring the props back for me. It's a good deal, isn't it?" Ningxi, Jiang Mai glanced at Lu Jingli and then interrupted, "Don't even think about it. The show requires the male guests to eat up the dishes cooked by the female guests." Lu Jingli squatted in the corner and began to plant mushrooms. How could there be such an inhumane gourmet show? It's really inhumane. Jiang Mai seemed to recall something, and his face turned green. This show only has one guest per episode, and they are all good-looking beauties. They rely on their looks to pull up the ratings. As for the dishes, they're all worse than the other. Don't ask me how I know that. How do you know that? Ningxi and Lu Jingli asked in unison. Jiang Mai's mouth twitched slightly. He pinched his forehead and said, "In addition to the beautiful female guests, the show also invites a male guest to be her assistant. I was there once." "And then?" Ningxi asked with interest. Jiang Mai showed a painful expression, as if he didn't want to recall the past. "Didn't I just say that the show requires the male guest to eat up the dishes cooked by the female guests? It means that even if the dishes are shit, they have to eat it. At that time, I thought the female guest was pretty and her cooking was just like her, so I agreed to go on the show. But in the end, he was forced to finish the entire plate of that woman's red braised pork, which was almost burnt into charcoal. Moreover, he had to falsely praise her for her cooking for the sake of the program. Since then, I haven't eaten braised pork for a whole year. Do you know how traumatized I am?" She rolled her eyes. "You deserve it. Obviously, he wanted to hook up with the beautiful women, but he got what he deserved." After that, I talked to a few other male guests who have been on this show and found pattern. The prettier the girl is, the darker the cuisine. Nowadays, almost no male guests dare to go on this show. Speaking of this, Jiang Mai glanced at Ningxi and coughed slightly. "If you're going to be on this show, I can spare some time from my busy schedule to be a male guest and support you." Lu Jingli was furious. "Fuck, Jiang Mai, you treacherous villain. Favoritism. As your boss, I will not allow it. I've decided to do it myself." Lu Tingxiao, the biggest boss, expressed that they all thought he was dead. Ningxi's body was in good condition. After resting at home for a few days, she felt much better. Therefore, taking advantage of the good weather on the weekend, Ningxi directly took Big Bun and Little Bun to look at houses. However, there was also a third wheel, Tang Lang, who was called a security consultant. In the courtyard, Tang Lang was picking and choosing. What kind of rubbish is this? In this day and age, there are still people who use barbed wire to invade the system. One pull and the entire defense system will collapse. Ning, she glanced at him. Then what do you want? Of course I want to use infrared. Shoot directly when they touch it. Kill them on the spot. Ningxi's mouth twitched as she held her forehead. This is China. China is okay. Kill your head. Chapter 1058. Lu Tingxiao pondered for a moment, then muttered, Infrared can be used, but it can be improved. You can refer to the security system of the Louvre. That's awesome. Then the two men began to discuss something she didn't understand. In the end, even the little bun joined the discussion. Used a robot guard you assembled? That's possible. My good disciple is really talented. As expected of my disciple. Tang Lang immediately had an expression of pride. In the evening, the villa was finally chosen. It was a villa located in the suburbs, but not too far from the city. The villa was very approachable and featured a retro Chinese style with soft colors. The surrounding scenery was also not bad. It was equipped with a small garden, swimming pool, and a greenhouse. There was a private butler who could meet all the needs of the residents. The most noteworthy thing was that there was a large peach forest on a mountain not far away. Lu Tingxiao had already planned the security system. After looking at it, Ningxi quickly signed the purchase contract on the spot and wrote her and Lu Tingxiao's names on the property ownership certificate. Ningxi happily put the property ownership certificate into Lu Tingxiao's hand like presenting a treasure. Honey, this is the house that I will marry you in the future. Lu Tingxiao's cold face was instantly dyed with a lively smile. The little bun's eyes lit up. Mama was going to marry Papa. Then wouldn't he be Mama's legitimate son? Tang Lang, he might be blind. He had been blinded by these two for an entire day. Even if he wasn't blind, he was half disabled. At the thought of having to suffer like this every day in the future, he wanted to smash his head against the ground. It was really not easy to earn some money. Damn Tang Yi, return my little caca to me. At night, the family of three and Tang Lang had dinner together. Tang Lang didn't know if that girl had found her conscience. After dinner, she actually sent him to the door. Second senior brother, I have something to ask you for help with. Ningxi stood in front of him with a serious expression. Ask me for help. Tang Yi raised his eyebrows. Ningxi nodded. It's like this. Second senior brother, do you mind having one more student? Tang Lang was puzzled. One more student? Who? Me? Ningxi pointed at herself. Did you take the wrong medicine? Tang Lang immediately looked at her, as if he had seen a ghost. This girl was usually most afraid of practicing martial arts, but now she actually took the initiative to ask to train with her. Ningxi, I'll double the tuition fee. Tang Lang asked, Sir, when do we start? Ningxi chuckled. I'll let you know then. What exactly provoked you? Tang Lang looked at her suspiciously. Ningxi looked serious. A few days ago, Feng Jin asked someone to invite me over. Hearing this, Tang Lang's expression changed slightly. It's faster than I thought. And then, what does he want to do? Seeing that Ningxi was fine, Lu Tingxiao must have arrived in time. Ningxi sneered. Oh, maybe he wants to kill me. Anyway, no matter what he wants to do, I've thought it through. I can't let Lu Tingxiao protect me all the time. I don't want him to worry about me. Most importantly, I can't become his weakness. Tang Lang, they were talking nicely, but they were stuffed with dog food again. Couldn't they have a pleasant chat? He'd better find Tang Yi for a duel and get his bank card back. Chapter 1059. A few days later, after finishing the house and making sure that her body was fine, she called Lin Jiji and decided to go to the TV station to record the program tomorrow afternoon. After learning that she was going to record this episode, Jiangmai was going to be the male guest, but Lu Jingli used his privilege as the boss to stop him. If I can't eat it, you can't eat it either. In the end, the male guest of this episode was still the one that the program team had originally planned. He was a third-rate male star who was not very famous, looked a little lucky, chubby, and often played some funny supporting roles. When the program Beauty's Private Kitchen first aired, it was very popular. Although most of the dishes cooked by female stars were terrible, it was still a hot topic. The process of the male guests eating those dark dishes became the biggest joke, and the audience quite liked this kind of program design. However, Beauty's Private Kitchen was, after all, a gourmet program. In order to increase the ratings, the audience gradually got tired of the joke that the more beautiful the female star was, the darker the dishes she cooked. Many extreme audience members even directly criticized the program team for being trash and vulgar, questioning that it was not a gourmet program, but a survival challenge program and a parody program. It was too inhumane to force the male guests to eat those disgusting food in order to increase the ratings. In particular, the fans of the male guests raised the most protests. Among them, the fiercest was undoubtedly Xianxia's episode. Xianxia's fans almost blew up the tieba of the program team, and the official Weibo was also full of curses. As more and more such voices rose, in the end, even the male guests were almost unable to be invited. Later, the program team was forced to make adjustments and invited some female stars who could cook. But the tragedy was that in most cases, it was impossible to have both beauty and cooking skills. There were too few female stars who could cook and were good-looking. Even if there were people who knew how to cook, their standards would definitely not be good. At most, they would be average. For a variety show, if the culinary skills were not good enough, it would be better to have terrible culinary skills. However, if the beauty was sacrificed for delicious food, and the biggest attraction of the program was the beauty, the ratings would be even worse. In the end, there was no other way. The program team came up with a more wicked idea, to find a substitute for the beautiful guest. It meant that they would spend money to hire a chef to cook for them. While they were cooking, they would only take pictures of the chef's hands. At other times, they would take pictures of the beautiful guest, creating the illusion that the beautiful guest was the one cooking. Originally, if this idea had not been discovered, it would have been the best of both worlds. Unfortunately, in the end, it was discovered by the sharp-eyed audience. The ring on the female guest's hand would disappear from time to time. It was simply an insult to the audience's intelligence. At that time, the audience criticized the production team for cheating, and the female guest at that time was also scolded badly. Later on, the production team could only return to the route of relying on looks and pranks to support the viewership ratings. Although they could no longer fool the old audience, they could still fool the new audience. The viewership ratings of a culinary show couldn't be compared to other variety shows, but this show was still the most popular among similar shows. The next afternoon, Xianxia arrived at the recording studio of the TV station on time with her assistant, Xiaotao. Today, Xianxia was wearing Xianxia's latest spring-style dress with floral patterns. In order to make cooking easier, her originally loose hair was tied up in a high ponytail. She was full of the spring sunshine and youthful vivacity. Chapter 1060. The director was a kind middle-aged man. His eyes lit up when he saw Xianxia. "Oh, here comes our beauty Xianxia. Quick, everyone, let's get to know each other. This is our female guest for today. Hello, everyone. I'm Xianxia. Nice to meet you." Xianxia greeted them politely and modestly. "You're welcome. Beauty Ning, she deserves her reputation. She's even more beautiful in real life than on TV. I thought ancient clothes were beautiful enough. I didn't expect modern clothes to be even more beautiful. It seems that the ratings of this episode are guaranteed." The staff came to greet them. The entertainment industry was a world where appearance was the most important factor. They had to be more enthusiastic in front of beautiful women, not to mention Xianxia, who was so beautiful that she was on a rise. The only one who wasn't in a good mood was the male guest today. Feng Rue was stunned by Xiaxia's beauty at first sight, but then he was frightened. Based on past experience, with such a face, how bad would the dishes he made be? Seeing Feng Rue's expression, a staff member knew what he was thinking and teased him with a smile. "Brother Rue, be content. Such a beautiful woman is cooking for you. You can eat 3 bowls of rice just by looking at her. Then can I only eat plain rice later?" Feng Rue decided to make a last-ditch struggle. "No." After greeting the staff member, Xianxia walked up to Feng Rue. "Hello, you must be Senior Feng. Nice to meet you later." Looking at the girl's charming little face, especially her polite tone toward him, Feng Rui's heavy heart instantly felt a lot better, and he was even a little overwhelmed by the favor. Sigh. Miss Ning, you're exaggerating. How can I be considered as a senior? I'm not a mentor, but I won't hold you back. A lukewarm male artist like Feng Rui, who had always acted as a clown, was the most hated and ostracized by female stars in the entertainment industry. Ning, she was such a beauty, and Xianxia Entertainment wanted to promote her in a high-profile way. But she was so polite to him, which really surprised him. If other female celebrities saw that their partner was a male guest like him, they would probably have given him a cold shoulder already. Feng Rui had been prepared to be humiliated, but he didn't expect that Ning she would be so nice to him. Even if she pretended to be nice, it was rare. After all, there were too many people in the entertainment industry who stepped on the high and flattered the low. In fact, before Ning she came, the director was also worried. He had invited Feng Rui because he couldn't invite other male guests this time. He had been worried that Ning she would argue with him, so he had made several preparations to persuade her in advance, but he didn't use them. The directors naturally liked artists like Ning, she who didn't have to do much and was cooperative, so they immediately had a better impression of Ning Shi. They thought that if she really couldn't do well later, they could let her do it a few more times. Beauty's Private Kitchen had been on air for more than 2 years, and all the program's procedures and props were very mature. Therefore, everyone made some preparation step by step. After the live audience entered the venue, the filming began very quickly. After the host, Ning Shi, Feng, 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 and Feng, Feng Shi, and Feng, Feng Shi. Chapter 1061. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Beauty's Private Restaurant again. Today, our female guest is truly a beauty. She is the beautiful Meng Chang'e in the world, and the innocent and beautiful and in our 18 years old. She is our Ning Shi. Hello, host, audience, and friends in front of the TV. I'm Ning Shi. Today, I'm going to show you my signature dish, braised pork. Braised pork. Is it because beauties think alike? Many beauties in our show have cooked this dish. As the host said this, the big screen behind them suddenly lit up. The screen began to replay the process of the previous female guests cooking braised pork. Sure enough, each dish was darker than the other. In Jiang Mai's episode, the scene of Jiang Mai eating meat was specially edited for a long time. The audience burst into laughter. Seeing Jiang Mai's expression as if he was eating shit, Ning she couldn't help but chuckle. The seniors are all very cute. The host livened up the atmosphere for a while, and then said, I wonder what kind of delicacy Ning she will bring to us today. Well, without further ado, let's invite our great beauty, Ning Shi, to begin. Another beauty, and it was the same uncreative braised pork. The audience at the scene of the show was actually gathered by the director from all over the place. Some of them were even paid extras. So many of them had already been here several times. When they saw such a similar plot, they felt that it was a little boring, and even their performances seemed weak. Fortunately, Ning she was indeed good-looking. The audience, especially the male audience, cheered up and continued to watch. By the way, Sister Mimi, can I use my own tools? Ning she looked at the host and asked. Since she was going to do it, she had to do it to the best. So this time, Ning she specially brought a set of tools that she usually used. The host smiled and said, Of course. In fact, the host was a little worried about Ning Shi. Previously, some female guests had made similar requests, but the dishes they cooked were still a mess. Some tried to show off their knife skills, but their hands were cut and cried on the spot. In the end, they were scolded by the audience for being nosy and pretentious. After Xiao Dao helped Ning Shi bring her own tools, Ning Shi began to cook. First, he nimbly put on the apron, then checked all the utensils, and began to choose the spices and ingredients. Is there anything I can help you with? Feng Rui asked. Ning Shi smiled. Senior, can you help me wash the radish? The girl's smile was friendly and warm, and Feng Rui's face could not help but heat up. He hurriedly said, Oh, okay. Ning Shi, what's a carrot for? Do we need carrots in the red braised meat? asked the host. I'm afraid that Senior will get tired of eating only the red braised meat later. Slicing the white radish and soaking it in salt water will be more refreshing. Ningxi explained. I see. The host thought to himself, that's not the point. As long as the poison doesn't kill our male guests, we'll be thankful. Wash. It's done. Feng Rue took the radish that was washed. Thank you. Ningxi took the radish, chose a rectangular knife, and began to slice it. Chapter 1062. Beep, 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 beep. The sound of the kitchen knife cutting on the chopping board was endless. In less than 5 seconds, a radish was cut. The onlookers only saw a whole radish on the chopping board. Ningxi gently piled it up, only to find that the radish had been cut into countless thin pieces. The host and Feng Rue, who were closest to her, were the most surprised, and the director was also confused. This knife skill. Did our program finally have a capable person? Wang, did you film it just now? The director turned to the cameraman eagerly and asked. The cameraman looked innocent. The camera was on the female guest's face. I didn't have time to turn the lens, and she had finished. You didn't get such a wonderful and important scene. Where's your professionalism? The director couldn't help shouting. Come on. It only took her about 3 or 5 seconds to cut a radish. I didn't even have time to cut the lens. The director glared at the cameraman and then ran to communicate with Ningxi. Ningxi, I didn't expect you to have such knife skills. We're going to give you a close-up. You cut too fast just now, and the cameraman didn't have time to adjust the angle. Can you cut another one? No, 2 more. We want to shoot a close-up and a long-distance shot. You know, the audience is so difficult to please. The long-distance shot is to prevent them from saying that we are looking for a substitute. Okay, Ningxi cooperated. So, Ningxi cut 2 more radishes. This time, even the audience saw it clearly. They all stared at it and talked about it. The host deliberately picked up a radish and walked to the cameraman to give a close-up. It was indeed as thin as a cicada's wing. I'm afraid it can't be cut without 7 or 8 years of practice, right? Then, Ningxi began to make braised pork. Old soy sauce, light soy sauce, cooking wine, rock sugar, star anise, ginger, spring onion, pepper, fragrant leaves in less than 3 minutes. Ningxi prepared all the ingredients and put them aside neatly. Then, she picked up a piece of pork belly with the skin, poured cold water into the pot, added star anise, ginger, fragrant leaves, and pepper, and began to cook it over high heat. After the water boiled, Ningxi fished out the meat, carefully scraped the dirt and hair on the surface with a knife, and then evenly cut it into a 3-centimeter square. His movements were as smooth as flowing water, without the slightest stumbling. Ningxi, I saw you brought this grass. What's it for? It's commonly known as malin, also known as malin. It's often used by the people to tie zongzi and various cooked meats. Using it to tie red braised pork won't loosen up. What's so special about this clay pot? Actually, you can use other electronic pots instead, but I feel that although using a clay pot might take a little longer, it will be more delicious. Ningxi looked very serious when she was cooking, as if she was completing a very important work of art. After asking a few questions, the host didn't dare to disturb her. From the beginning to the end, Ningxi did not deliberately show off her skills. She was just cooking seriously, but people could not take their eyes off her unconsciously. It turned out that without any pranks or boring interactions between male and female guests, just watching someone cook could be so interesting. It could even be said to be a kind of enjoyment. This was a special charm that belonged to the professional field. Finally, a pot of braised pork was ready. The exciting moment had arrived. Chapter 1063. The moment Ningxi lifted the lid of the casserole with heat-resistant gloves, the entire studio was filled with a fragrant aroma. The red braised pork had an alluring luster. The host swallowed hard and said, "Now, let's invite our male guests to have a taste of Beauty Ning's cooking. You have to eat it all." Previously, There had been situations where the food looked good but tasted terrible. Therefore, no one dared to take it lightly until they tasted it. Feng Rue had made full preparations before going on the show in case he vomited. He hadn't even drunk a sip of water before coming here, so he was famished. Therefore, when he saw the appearance of the dish, he couldn't help but salivate, even though he was still vigilant. Feng Rue sat at the small dining table and, under everyone's nervous gaze, carefully picked up a piece of red braised pork and took a bite. Then a second bite, a third bite, a second piece, a third piece, rice. Feng Rue took a moment to say, "Oh." The host hurriedly handed him a bowl of rice. Then, Feng Rue almost forgot that he was still in the studio. He ate one mouthful of meat, one mouthful of rice, and when he was tired of it, he added a few crispy and refreshing carrots. He didn't even lift his head. Feng Rue finished the whole pot of white rice with a plate of red braised pork and a plate of white carrots. The host, the staff, and the audience all stared at him intently as he finished eating. It wasn't until Feng Rue finished the last bit of gravy in the braised pork with rice balls that everyone came to their senses. Everyone's first reaction was, "Fuck, you should have at least left a piece for us." In the end, there wasn't even a piece of carrots left, let alone meat. Feng Rue seemed to be in disbelief that he had finished eating just like that. He scratched his head in embarrassment and said, I'm sorry, everyone. Ning, she's cooking is so delicious. I've never eaten such delicious red braised pork before. Oh, and that carrot, it's delicious too. I don't know how to describe it, but so delicious. In the past, I've seen a saying that true delicacies can make people forget everything. I probably felt it just now, and I really almost forgot that I was still recording a show. The host burst into tears. It's useless even if you say anything now. There's nothing left. We can't sense anything. Finally, after the show, Xianxia made another plate with the remaining ingredients and distributed it to the staff and the audience. The director cried bitterly. He really wanted to make Xianxia a regular guest, so that he could eat her every day in the future. As for the cameraman, he used his last shred of rationality to record this scene. For this episode of Beauty's Private Kitchen, the director made an exception and used an extremely strange editing method. The program lasted 40 minutes. Xianxia cooked for half an hour, and Feng Rue ate for 10 minutes. Yes, for a full 10 minutes, there was no interaction at all. It was purely a scene of him eating. As a result, when the program was broadcasted on the weekend, the ratings actually surpassed Jiang Mai's episode and broke the highest record ever since the program was broadcasted. The number of views of the online video exceeded 10 million in just one day, especially during the late-night hours, where the number of views increased the fastest. At the same time, this episode's video quickly occupied Weibo's trending searches and headlines, and its popularity continued to skyrocket. Chapter 1064. The most beautiful female guest in the history of Beauty's private home cuisine, the nation's wife Xianxia, only you and food can't be let down. The official Weibo of the production team also exploded. Both old and new audiences were bombarded. The most surprising thing was that there was actually a large group of mother fans' frowny face. I actually stared at a man eating in the middle of the night without fast-forwarding for a whole 10 minutes. This episode is toxic. Toxic in the middle of the night. Director, come out, and I promise I won't beat you to death. The male guest of this episode is so cute. He's different from those coquettish bitches outside, begging for the female guest to wear the same dress. It's so beautiful. I can eat 3 bowls of rice just by looking at the goddess's face. I can even eat shit looking at the goddess's face. She's beautiful, has a good figure, and cooks so well. Goddess, marry me. Daughter, do you need a mother-in-law? I have a son. He's obedient and went to college. He pays all his salary. Xianxia was happily scrolling through the comments online, but Lu Tingxiao was naturally not so happy. What national's wife? She's clearly my wife. Xianxia sensed the devil's mood and hurriedly went over to comfort him. Darling, don't be sad. The director said that because I performed very well, he wants to invite me again. I've thought about it. Next time, I'll wait for a movie to be released. Then I'll talk to the director and go dressed as a man. Then I'll bring you along. Oh, it's Kumingyu. How about it? Isn't it perfect? Lu Tingxiao glanced at the girl. Yes, thank you for your guidance, senior. Ha ha, good boy. She suddenly laughed. She inexplicably felt like she had slept with Lu Tingxiao. It was so cool. Just then, her phone rang, indicating that there was a new text message from an unknown number. Brat, tomorrow at 3 p.m., prepare to dress as a woman and die. The arrogant tone and the dozens of angry exclamation marks behind it. Needless to say, it was Zhuang Rongguang. After so many days, she had almost forgotten about it. It was hard for Zhuang Rongguang, who was always slacking off, to still remember it until now. It seemed that she had made him hate her pretty well. As she was thinking, her phone rang again. It was Zhuang Ke who called. She immediately answered, "Hello, Ke. Xiaoxi, did Rongguang send you a message and ask you to meet tomorrow?" Zhuang Ke asked. "Yeah, I just got it. He asked me to meet at 3 p.m. tomorrow." Zhuang Ke chuckled. "Ever since my brother lost to you at the shooting range that day, he has been practicing at the shooting range without rest. Apart from eating and sleeping, he has been shooting all the time. He has even taken the initiative to ask our father for some shooting techniques. My brother and my dad have always had a bad relationship, especially when it comes to anything related to shooting. This is the first time they have peacefully discussed this kind of thing. These days, the atmosphere at home is much better, and Grandpa is also very happy. Cici, thank you so much." Hearing Zhuang Ke's words, Ningxi was sincerely happy. "Don't mention it. I just can't bear to see others bully my friend, even your brother." On the other end of the phone, Zhuang Ke was moved. "Then, see you tomorrow. By the way, come to my house for dinner tomorrow night. My grandpa likes you very much. He asked me to invite you and take you to our house often. If you don't mind, you must come." Chapter 1065. Of course not. I'm just sorry for bothering you. It's no trouble at all. If you come, my whole family will welcome you. That's a deal. Zhuang Ke directly ignored her brother. "Okay, see you tomorrow." After hanging up, Ningxi was in a good mood. She hummed a song and began to look for clothes in the closet. "Are you in a good mood?" Lu Tingxiao couldn't help asking, seeing that she was so happy after a phone call with Zhuang Ke. "Ha ha! Lu Tingxiao, let me tell you something very interesting." Ningxi beamed with joy and told him how she had beaten Zhuang Rongguang repeatedly before. "I was dressed as a man, so he always thought I was a man. Finally, I told him that if he could do it, I would wear a pink princess dress and run 3 laps around the shooting range. In order to humiliate me, he started to practice shooting as if he was on steroids. Just now on the phone, Ke was telling me that the brat was practicing so hard that he forgot to eat and sleep, that he's almost going crazy. Speaking of which, I suddenly want him to win this time. I'm really looking forward to his reaction when he finds out that I'm a woman. Ha ha." Looking at the girl smile, Lu Tingxiao's dissatisfaction with Zhuang Liaoyuan lessened a lot. "Did Zhuang Liaoyuan mention that to you again?" "Don't worry. He didn't mention it again, and I think Zhuang Rongguang is very talented. If he can change one day, Chief Zhuang will definitely give up on me. When will he come back tomorrow?" "Probably after dinner. I've already made an appointment with Ke." "Okay." Ningxi noticed that Lu Tingxiao kept staring at her while talking. She couldn't help touching her face. "Is there something on my face? Why are you staring at me?" Lu Tingxiao stared at the girl's smiling eyes, leaned over, and kissed her lips. "You're beautiful." Ningxi immediately covered her face shyly. "Beautiful? Oh my God." The devil was getting better and better at flirting recently. He said she looked cute when she was eating. He said she looked cute when she was sleeping. He even said she was beautiful when they were talking. "Ningxi, I hope you can be so happy every day when we are together." "Don't worry. I'm happy every day when I'm with you." The next afternoon, Ningxi changed into men's clothes and arrived at the shooting range 10 minutes earlier. In the end, Zhuang Rongguang had arrived earlier than her. In other words, that kid had probably never left the shooting range. At this moment, Zhuang Ronguang was standing with his back to her with his hands clasped behind his back. Against the light, he had a heroic look as if he was determined to succeed or die trying. Ning, she touched her nose and couldn't help curling up the corners of her mouth. "Brother Shi, you're here." Zhuang Ke had also arrived early. When she saw Ning Shi, she immediately greeted him happily. "You're here." Zhuang Ronguang turned around and looked at the newcomer with a cold expression. After not seeing him for a while, Zhuang Ronguang had lost some weight, but he didn't look tired or haggard at all. Instead, his eyes were astonishingly bright, which made her see Zhuang Liaoyuan's shadow. This kind of high-intensity shooting training could really sharpen a person. It seemed that this period of time still had some effect on him, even if the effect was only temporary. This time, Zhuang Ronguang had only done it because of a moment of anger. With Zhuang Ronguang's temperament, there was still a long way to go for him to change completely. Chapter 1066. Did you bring it? Zhuang Ronguang asked. Ning, she waved the pink plastic bag in her hand. Do you want to check it? Zhuang Ronguang glanced at her as if he didn't believe her. So he picked up the bag and checked it himself. A pair of white high heels, a pink princess dress with lace trimmings, a flower on her head, and a pair of white heart-shaped stockings. At the bottom, there was actually a pink bra. Zhuang Ronguang's face suddenly turned red, and he hastily shoved the bag back into Ningxi's hands. "You pervert!" Ningxi looked innocent. "Didn't you ask me to wear women's clothes? Is there a woman who doesn't wear a bra?" Zhuang Ronguang's face turned even redder, and he glared at her angrily. He then took a deep breath, trying not to be affected by this treacherous person. "You being so sensible is exactly what I wanted." As they spoke, there were already many onlookers. Many of them were people who had come to watch the last time. Even Zhuang Liaoyuan and Zhuang Zongren deliberately made time to come. Zhuang Ronguang looked at his father and grandfather, his expression a little tense, but he quickly regained his confidence. "Seems like there are enough witnesses." Ningxi smiled and made an inviting gesture. "Then, please." Zhuang Ronguang snorted and stared at her. "Remember your promise if you're a man. If I can shoot 10 shots blindfolded, you have to— Got it. I have to wear women's clothes and walk around the field 3 times. So long-winded. There are so many people here. How can I blame you? Are you going to fight or not?" Ningxi waved her hand impatiently. Hearing Ningxi's words, many people at the scene cheered excitedly. Oh, we're women's clothes. We're women's clothes. We're women's clothes. Go, Photon. Yeah, Photon, you have to win. Let's see if he can still be so arrogant. Ha. I really want to see this guy's embarrassing look in women's clothes. Go, Photon. You can do it. During this time, Zhuang Ronguang had been staying in the shooting range and had become familiar with the regulars. In addition, everyone had heard Zhuang Ronguang exaggerate how Ningxi had shamelessly seduced his sister, so now they were all cheering for him. Zhuang Ke was the goddess of all these men. She was actually seduced by this stinking brat who came out of nowhere. It was simply intolerable. The surrounding cheers encouraged Zhuang Ronguang even more, and a sense of duty to enforce justice on behalf of the heavens arose in his chest. Finally, he picked up a long black cloth and wrapped it around his eyes a few times. Then, he raised the gun and accurately aimed at the target based on his intuition. The scoring began. At the scene, all the onlookers, including Zhuang Liaoyuan and Zhuang Zongren, were holding their breath. The next second, Zhuang Ronguang pulled the trigger. Bang! 10th ring. Bang! Another 10 rings. Bang! 3 consecutive 10 rings. As Zhuang Ronguang fired shot after shot, everyone became more and more excited. Finally, 8th spear thrust, 10th ring. The 9th spear thrust, 10th ring. The 10th spear thrust. Zhuang Ronguang paused and took a deep breath. Then a bang sound, 10th spear thrust, 10th ring. With a ding sound, the scoring machine began to calculate the total score. On the screen was a bright red 10th ring, a total of 100 points. Chapter 1067. Oh. After half a second of silence, there was a sudden burst of cheers that almost broke the roof. Many of them had seen how hard Zhuang Rongwang trained these days, so when they saw him win, they were actually as happy as if they had won themselves. Whether they were new friends or old friends, they all surrounded the young man, patting his shoulder and rubbing his head. Good boy, you're really something. Blindfold 10 spears, 10 rings. And it's only been a few days of training. That's amazing. Haha. Photon, I knew you could do it. That brat who seduced your sister is going to be sullen now. You brat, I really underestimated you. Turns out you've been hiding your strength. Zhuang Rongwang looked at the praises coming from the people around him, some familiar, some unfamiliar, and some unfamiliar. There was a strange, warm feeling in his chest, giving him a feeling that he had never felt before, that kind of enthusiasm, excitement, pride, and a feeling that his whole body was filled with strength, seeing the gratification in his father and grandfather's eyes. His eyes even turned a little sour. This was really strange. How could he have such a sentimental feeling? He was clearly afraid of hardship and tiredness, and hated shooting the most. Really, hated it. Hey. Brat, Photon did it. You lost. It's time for you to fulfill your promise. That's right. Hurry up and change your clothes. Let everyone take a look. You have to go around the field 3 times. Ha. If Miss Zhuang saw this brat in women's clothing, she would definitely despise him to death. Yes. Zhuang Rongwang only came back to his senses when he heard the crowd's urging. He immediately glowed and ran in front of Ning, she excitedly. Brat, I've said it before, I just didn't want to be serious with you. But when I get serious, even I'm afraid. How about it? You're not going to renege on the bet, are you? Master Guang is really good. I'm willing to accept my loss. Where's the changing room? Ning, she asked. Someone in the crowd immediately answered. It's just opposite. You can just pick an empty room and go in to change. If you're a man, you have to accept your loss. All of us are watching. Don't even think about running away. Ha. This brat is so handsome. He must look like a sissy in women's clothing. Ning, she carried the clothes and walked unhurriedly towards an empty changing room. Zhuang Rongwang felt that he had finally vented his anger. He snorted and looked at Zhuang Ke, who was beside him, and said, Sister, now you can finally give up on that guy. How can that kid be compared to your brother? The worst part was that he was despicable and shameless. But until now, I still don't understand just how did I become enemies with this kid. Zhuang Ke was trying her best not to break the barrier, so she didn't say a word. Zhuang Rongwang saw that she did not speak and thought that she was disappointed in the boy, so he became more excited and took out his phone to record. He was going to record this brat's dark history later so that he wouldn't go back on his word and pester his sister again. A moment later, with a click, the door of the fitting room that Ning she had just entered was suddenly pushed open from the inside. Instantly, everyone's eyes were filled with excitement as they looked towards the direction of the fitting room. They were ready to watch a good show. Chapter 1068. The next second, the phone in Zhuang Rongwang's hand fell to the ground with a loud bang. The black screen cracked into pieces, just like its owner's face, as if time had suddenly stopped. Everyone stood there in a daze. In the huge shooting range, it was so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. He saw that the girl was wearing a pink princess dress that fitted her body. Her waist was slender, and her long, curly black hair was like a waterfall that outlined a soft curve around her waist. Her delicate face was as beautiful as the mountain flowers, and her eyes were as bright as the stars, as if the flowers of spring were in full bloom. Beauty. And it was a super beauty. Ouch, you stepped on my foot. Who pinched me? If you want to pinch me, go and do it yourself. Don't push me. The silence finally ended, and there was a burst of sporadic commotion in the crowd. Everyone was pushing and shoving, but their eyes never left Ning Shi's body. Most of the people who came to the shooting range were old men. All of them wanted to embarrass Ning Shi to death, but now they didn't mention it, and their eyes were almost glued to her body. What the hell? What's going on? Is this the same person? I've been staring at her. There's no way she could be swapped. Why do I feel that her breasts are so real? A bunch of idiots. You little brats who haven't even tasted meat know nothing. With my experience and eyesight, she's a genuine woman, all right? And she's a stunning beauty. This kid, Pooey, this little girl was obviously a woman dressed as a man. What the hell? Is this for real? A woman dressed as a man? While the crowd was talking, Ningxi had already walked towards the crowd. Finally, Ningxi stopped in front of the dumbfounded Zhuang Rongguang and asked with a smile, "Master Guang, are you satisfied with what you see?" Zhuang Rongguang nodded blankly, and a second later, he shook his head hard, his fingers trembling as he stared at her in disbelief. You're a woman?" Ningxi smiled lightly. Yes, this guy actually dared to admit it in such a nonchalant manner. Wasn't he not afraid of being beaten to death? Zhuang Rongguang felt a mouthful of blood stuck in his throat. He felt like he had suffered an internal injury. You're a woman. You are a woman. Then why did you say that you were dressed as a girl and walked around the arena 3 times? Fuck. At this very moment, Zhuang Rongguang finally realized that he had been played. However, what was even more tragic was that it would be fine if he was facing that stinky brat. But it just had to be a great beauty, causing him to be unable to get angry. He had finally won with great difficulty, but he felt even more aggrieved. No, how could he win? His opponent was a woman. A woman was so good at shooting, and he was a man. Even if he won, how could he be so smug? Zhuang Rongguang felt that he was about to go berserk from being abused. Wow, Xiaoxi, I've never seen you wear this before. You look so cute. It suits you so well. Zhuang Ke took Ningxi's hand and circled her excitedly. Zhuang Ke's reaction was undoubtedly a stab in Zhuang Rongguang's heart. Zhuang Rongguang was even more confused. Sister, you already knew? Zhuang Ke nodded. I know. Then why didn't you tell me? Zhuang Rongguang roared from the depths of his soul. You didn't ask me. White Crack recommends a very good and popular article, Yi Bei's The Unparalleled Alchemist, Hedonistic Miss Geo. If you like to read about strong female fantasy, you can check it out. Chapter 1069. Not far away, Zhuang Zongren was just watching the group of young people with a smile. But when he saw Ningxi come out in that dress, his eyes instantly turned red, and he murmured incredulously, "Ah, Ci." Zhuang Liaoyuan couldn't help but be surprised when he saw his father's excited reaction. "Ah, Ci? Wasn't that his mother's nickname? That child really looks like Ah, Ci when she was young." Zhuang Zongren murmured tremblingly, and his eyes were full of deep longing and love for his late wife. When Zhuang Zongren first met Ningxi, she wanted to talk about business. Her makeup and clothes were very smart and capable, so he didn't notice it at that time. But today, Ningxi didn't put on any makeup and was wearing a pink princess dress, which made Zhuang Zongren find that she really looked like his beloved wife, Ah Ci. When he first met her, he didn't expect that Lingyu and Ku'er didn't look like Ah Ci, but his granddaughter, Ningxi, looked so much like her. Zhuang Liaoyuan looked at Ningxi's direction and tried to recall his mother, but because his mother died early, he almost had no impression of her. But he vaguely remembered a photo of his mother standing beside his father in a princess dress, smiling like a flower. His mother's temperament in that photo was indeed very similar to Ningxi's at this moment. At night in the manor, Zhuang Zongren asked the servants to prepare a table full of delicious dishes. Before, Zhuang Zongren's attitude towards Ningxi was polite and grateful, but now he was kind and enthusiastic. At the dinner table, the old man kept putting food into Ningxi's bowl. "Xiaoxi, eat more. Eat more." "Thank you, old sir." Ningxi was a little flattered by the old man's overly enthusiastic attitude. Zhuang Rongguang, who was eating a chicken drumstick, suddenly felt that something was wrong. Then he stared at Ningxi. After a while, he suddenly stood up and stared at Ningxi excitedly. "Oh my God, I remember. You're the woman who tripped me when I was running away at home that day. Zhuang Zongren looked displeased when he heard that. Why are you making a fuss? Sit down. Also, don't call her this woman or that woman. Xiaoxi is older than you. You should call her sister. Zhuang Rongguang looked as if he had seen a ghost. Am I crazy? I called her sister. I say, sister, what kind of grudge do you have against me? Why had you been torturing me the moment we met? As soon as he finished speaking, Zhuang Liaoan, who was at the side, coldly glanced at his son with a displeased expression and reprimanded, impudent. Zhuang Rongguang looked at his grandfather, then at his father, and suddenly howled, why are all of you speaking up for her? Do we get the wrong baby back then? She's your biological daughter. Zhuang Zongren glared at his grandson with a stern face. I hope it was a mistake. Unfortunately, there isn't one. Zhuang Rongguang, who was mercilessly despised, immediately burst into tears. Xiaoxi, how's your work? Are you busy? Are you tired? Zhuang Zongren ignored his grandson and looked at Ningxi with concern. Feeling the sincere concern in the old man's tone, Ningxi hurriedly said, it's going well. I'm not tired. I like my current job very much. Oh, that's good. I heard from Ku that you also opened a clothing company. Don't tire yourself out. Yes, I know. Ningxi hurriedly responded. Chapter 1070. Zhuang Zongren thought about it and asked, where do you live now? Is it the dormitory arranged by the company? I used to live in an apartment arranged by the company, but I'm going to move soon. The company has been making a lot of money recently, and I just bought a house, Ningxi answered. Zhuang Zongren was pleased to hear that. You're so young and self-reliant. That's good. With that, he looked at his good-for-nothing grandson with disdain. Zhuang Rongguang, he had been eating in silence. Why do you have to be blamed? This woman was born to punish him, right? How are you getting along with little Lu? He didn't bully you, did he? Kuer said he had an affair last time. What happened? Zhuang Zongren finally asked the question he was most concerned about. Ningxi coughed lightly and said hurriedly, Sir, we're fine. What happened last time was a misunderstanding. I've explained it. That's good, Zhuang Zongren murmured. His face became serious as he thought of something. Xiaoxi was an adopted daughter of the Ning family from the countryside. With Lu Tingxiao's family background, Lu Chongshan and Yin Rui wouldn't agree so easily. Back then, he had sworn not to interfere in Ling Yu's affairs. Ningxi was her daughter, and her relationship with the Ning family was so complicated, but a man's heart was made of flesh. Looking at his granddaughter, such a good girl, who looked so much like ACI, he couldn't bear to ignore her. During the meal, Zhuang Kuer vaguely noticed that her grandfather and father seemed to treat Ningxi strangely, but she couldn't tell what was wrong. In the end, she could only attribute it to the fact that Xiaoxi had saved her grandfather's life, so her grandfather and father were so grateful to her. The new villa Ningxi bought had a nice name, Peach Blossom Cove. After the security system was set up, Ningxi told Lin Jiji that she was going to move and picked a day to move. As long as Ningxi was still a member of the company, the apartment at Pearl River Regency would always be hers. So many things that were inconvenient to take away were left there. The moving company was efficient and orderly, and the things were soon moved downstairs. While moving things, Ningxi accidentally discovered a troublesome thing, a huge diamond. This thing was given to her by Yunshin on the first day of filming Under the Heavens. Later on, she had been looking for an opportunity to return it to him, but there had never been a suitable opportunity. Ningxi closed the lid and looked around. She didn't think she had missed anything, so she went downstairs. Beauty, is there anything else? The movers asked. Let's go. There's nothing left. All right. Ningxi was about to get on the car and leave when she was suddenly stopped by someone. Ningxi subconsciously turned her head and saw Ning Yaohua, whom she hadn't seen for a long time. Chairman Ning called me. What director, Ning? I am your father. Ning Yaohua looked displeased. His gaze swept over the large truck behind her. What are you doing? Move? Is there a problem? That's great. You can move back home. I came here to talk to you about this, Ning Yaohua said. Chapter 1071. Ning Shi raised her eyebrows. Move home? Oh, Chairman Ning, are you drunk today? Hearing Ning Shi's sarcastic tone, Ning Yaohua didn't fly into a rage. Instead, he said gently, Ning Shi, you are my daughter after all. I will take care of you no matter what. You're a girl. It's not good for you to stay outside all the time. Why don't you move back home? Our house is big, and your original room is always there. Hearing this, Ning Shi almost laughed out loud. Her original room. It was only 1/3 the size of Ning Xiaoluo's room, and it was converted from servant's room. The reason was that they were afraid that she would dirty other rooms, so they asked her to learn etiquette before moving her to another room. Later, there was no later. She looked thoughtfully at Ning Yaohua, who was full of eagerness. There was only one reason for Ning Yaohua's sudden change in attitude. Grandpa was going to make a will. After he came back from the hospital last time, Grandpa had the intention to make a will. Did he want the shares in her hands? Although she didn't want the Ning family's things, since it was given to her by Grandpa, she couldn't hand it over to Ning Yaohua. Ning Shi, did you hear what Dad said? Look, I happen to be here today. I happen to see you moving. Why don't you just move back? Ning Yaohua said. Ning Shi crossed her arms, glanced at the truck, and sneered. Are you sure that the room in the house can hold my things? Ning Yaohua's face stiffened. Although there are many rooms in the house, they're all useful, and it's not good to let you live in the guest room. You can put these things in the warehouse for the time being if you don't need them. Ning Shi looked at the man with a faint smile and said slowly, Let me go back? Okay, let me live in the room that belongs to me. Ning Yaohua's face suddenly changed. Ning Shi, what do you mean? Are you going to take Shui Luo's room? Shui Luo has lived there since she was a child. How can it be her room? Compared with Ning Shi, Ning Yaohua was naturally on Ning Xiaoluo's side. Ning Shi lost interest after playing for a while. She didn't want to talk to Ning Yaohua anymore and turned to leave. Ning Shi, stop. Where are you planning to move to? Ning Yaohua chased after him and asked. Clearly, he still hadn't given up. I bought my own house, Ning Shi replied casually. Ning Yaohua laughed. What kind of decent house can you buy with that little money? A single apartment or a 2-bedroom apartment? It's not that I want to criticize you, but it's not as good as home. Why do you have to go out and suffer? You should have quit your job a long time ago. Before Ning Shi could speak, the truck driver who had been watching them for a long time couldn't bear it anymore. He poked his head out and said, Sir, the house your daughter bought is Peach Blossom Cove. After Ning Shi got in the car, the driver slammed the door and started the engine. The moving truck sped away. Ning Yaohua ate a mouthful of car exhaust and stood rooted to the ground, unable to regain his senses. Peach Blossom Dock. Could it be that he had misheard? The house Ning Shi bought was Peach Blossom Cove? How could it be the Peach Blossom Dock? Peach Blossom Cove was a villa that sold for tens of millions of yuan. It was even in a better location than the Ning family's villa. It was also one of the famous rich areas. How could Ning Shi afford a villa there? You're tuning in to the Eternal Immortal Ballad YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.